Whoa, okay. Tell me more.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March, 15th, 2021. This is episode 312. And today, Jab, Jab, Die. That's right. And I am not in my original timeline, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. I'm not a daimyo trying to unify feudal Japan. But I do want to welcome you to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And this is quite the miracle that I am even able to be sitting here broadcasting live.
Yeah, we had so many layers of infrastructure breaking down over the weekend. You want to tell your side of the story?
Well, first off, just real quick, I have a severe echo in my headphones, which I just haven't had the time to figure out what's going on. It's a latency issue for anybody who cares. Basically, what happened was I upgraded my Mac Pro 2013, still running.
Wow.
To the latest operating system, Big Sur, and
bad idea.
Bad idea. It was a big poop. Is what it was. It just broke all of my fragile setup with my Masters of the Universe Mode 2 ultralight MK4 and just everything. Everything is broken.
Yeah.
And,
which, it's interesting because we have dealt with catastrophes and apocalyptic tech problems before. This one was special because it happened Friday, or did it happen Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, it happened days ago, and you've been basically working tirelessly nonstop to remedy the problem. But this I think maybe about once a year we have some sort of catastrophic tech breakdown. And that's just kind of the life of a guerrilla podcaster. But this one was pretty bad. You have done a great job of taking the WD-40, the paper clips, the duct tape, and putting together a system that'll work for today's show. So I applaud you for that. Nobody else could have done it, folks. That's why we got the man. And the real deal.
And people listening later on in the RSS feed might also notice that the quality isn't as up to par, but that's what's going to happen. I hope it's still better than a lot of podcasts out there that use the laptop mic and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I don't think people realize what it takes to run, a browser with like 50 windows open.
You got multiple machines working too to do what we do.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty crazy operation here, but alas.
And then on top of that, daylight savings time happened. And one of my experiments went totally awry.
Before you even get into that, let's just mention that yesterday, as I was trying to fix everything, canarycryradio.com goes down.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
and our website went down. Yeah. And the producer page went down. Everything went down. It was an exciting weekend.
Yep.
And then daylight savings time happened. And look, here's the thing. I get it. Sometimes I can, I have a certain, level of
level. I like how that's
just a certain level. But I've been so proud of myself over the pandemic to really, start waking up at a normal human wake up time. And I've been doing very good. I feel like an adult. I get my mornings back, get some productivity early on in the day. But there's something about the time zone jump, the daylight savings time, that I woke up to my phone ringing, and it was Gons asking where I was. And I was so confused. Yeah. And I look at the clock, and it's 12:30. So it was very strange. I was lost in a delirium for about a half hour after that. So, trouble comes in all sorts, shapes, and sizes, Gons.
And we had a little Twitter battle. If anybody wants to go see,
it's fun.
Me sitting there waiting for Basil to log on, and while Basil tweets. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Come on.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. There's just the troubles that we got to go through. But you know what? We all got troubles. Should we get into the show? What do you think?
Yes. And shout out to Oprah Winfrey Official in the Twitch chat. Appreciate your presence.
Yes.
You get a podcast, and you get a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, and again, through the technical difficulties, I was not able to do my pre-stream chat.
Right.
So I do want to give a shout out to iFightSin over on Twitch, who had the first comment of the day. A woman.
Oh, first, and also, real quick.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
And before we get into the Flippy update, which we'll get into in a moment, I want to debunk ourselves.
Oh, good. I like this.
The Biden jab. I found footage with no glitch.
Really?
It's on YouTube, straight off of CNBC television. And
wasn't that where we were watching the live stream of it?
Watching it now, and no glitch.
Interesting. That is very interesting. Because remember, we did not just find a clip randomly on YouTube. We were watching straight from, I believe it was ABC or CNBC.
Yeah.
So, we were watching from a mainstream outlet, and that's where it was displayed with the glitch.
Right. But I think it might have been like a tweet, like an official tweet or something. So it's possible that there was some compression.
No, I mean, I remember correctly. We were watching it straight off of the website.
Okay.
But yes. Okay. I'm watching it now just to prove to myself. Oh my gosh. He's got some hairy arms. He's not just hairy legs, Biden. He's hairy arms, Biden. I'm surprised that the nurse didn't have to take a razor. Okay, Gons, I'm watching the video. Oh my God, it just keeps getting worse though. The video that you just played, I don't know if you're playing it live on the air there, but I watched it, and you're right, there is no glitch. But right before the needle enters his arm, they put up a chyron that blocks the contact point.
Yeah.
And for the chyron's a different name for a lower third, which is just a title that happens on the bottom, of news programs. And right before the needle goes into his arm, it says breaking news: Biden gets first dose of coronavirus vaccine. And the image is perfectly placed to block the contact point between the needle and his arm. This is not better. I think this is more evidence of foul play, Gons.
Yeah, it could be that the jab was,
and it's right at the exact moment too. There's no image, no chyron. She's doing the swab. She picks up the needle. It's about to go in. Chyron goes up, blocks the needle.
Yeah, and Joe doesn't respond. So either he's, well, who knows if he has feeling in his arms. That's not.
He's just trying to play tough.
But anyway, I thought I'd bring that up.
I still don't buy it, man.
You don't have to buy it, but I'm just saying no glitch. No glitch footage.
You're right, though. Yeah, that is interesting. They replaced the glitch because another interesting thing on the video that we were watching, there was no graphic. So they put the graphic on this glitchless video. They put the graphic on that wasn't there before.
And it looks like a little bit of a different angle. I got to look back at the original footage, but it feels like it's a different camera in the same room. Anyway.
All right. Well, it's everybody's favorite time, Gons. It's the Flippy Update.
Flippy Update.
Do you want fries with that?
All right, folks, if you're new to the show, let me tell you something. Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to discuss how robotics and AI are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. This one... We're moving closer to Flippy proper. This is coming from neural.it. Neural.it. And the headline is The Candle, Robotic Philosophical Failure. Let's get philosophical, folks. How does our anthropomorphic vision of machines influence their interpretation? Okay, put on your thinking cap, folks. This is going to get deep. How much does our anthropomorphic vision of machines influence their interpretation? And what do we need to attribute anthropomorphic qualities to a machine? The Candle by Amir Bastan explores these questions through a simple recurring gesture. An industrial robot arm with an audio speaker at the end points to a lit candle, and through the reproduction of highly vibrating low sounds, tries to blow it out. The discharge of vibration causes the flame to swing, but the attempt fails miserably every time, with the arm quickly reconfiguring its position and trying another angle again and again. The philosophical failure speaks in various ways. Beyond the artist's recurring reference, Tarkovsky's nostalgia movie, questioning, for example, the technical supremacy of an advanced machine and the impossibility of accomplishing an anthropomorphic basic task. So that was a whole bunch of fancy words to say, we put a lot of pressure on robots to be better than humans at things. And, he's in this art piece, he's sort of exploring how sad it is when they can't. And he's trying to make a statement about, human nature and the nature of robots and our expectations of robots being able to do what we can do as human beings. And I'm assuming you're playing the video there.
Yeah.
And for those who are just listening, as you may have heard when I just read, there's a tall white candle with the flame lit, and then there's a flippy arm that has a speaker on the end of it instead of a claw or something. And it's trying over and over and over to point the speaker at the candle very close and blast it with a sound, allegedly to try to blow out the candle with this speaker. And the whole project is this robot failing over and over and over at doing this. And I thought we're going to get a little philosophical on the Flippy Update. Usually we talk about, a new killer robot arm that's, has a flamethrower or something and how we need to watch out. But we also get kind of deep on the Flippy Update about the psychological operations behind robots making their way into our everyday lives. And this brought up a very interesting point. Because this art piece is speaking to the impotence that robots occasionally have, and especially in the Flippy Update, a lot of times we show robots that are failing, and you can see in the chat, and many listeners may have the thought themselves of like, oh, this robot is failing. We've got nothing to worry about. There's still a lot of time before the robots take over the world. But it occurred to me that that's all part of the plan. Why would a company put out footage of a failing robot? It's kind of entertaining sometimes, but on a basic level, it's not very good PR for their project. And yet we like to explore the meta movement of robots becoming popular and showing up different places in our lives. And I think it's very important to the psychological operation that the public is shown the failure of robots over and over and over, mainly to appear non-threatening. I mean, we're in this position where, it's not just us who talk about robots taking over the world. Of course, through Hollywood television and film for decades, it's been a topic of conversation. But in Hollywood depictions, the robots are always highly competent. And, you talk about movies like Terminator and stuff. This was way before robots were anywhere close to being some sort of threat. So it was fun and entertaining to have killer robots that are better than humans in almost every way. But now that we get closer and closer to the reality of robots being in our everyday lives, I think it's very important, and I think the powers that be, whether it be our lizard people overlords or just simply the sort of hive mind of the robotics industry, it's very important that the public sees robots fail over and over and over, if for no other reason than to not be disturbed by the possibilities of these robots, having some sort of negative effect in our life. And I think it's working very well, because even, some people, and I would say a group in our chat or listen to this show. Of course, the Flippy update is fun. Of course, we explore a very complicated relationship we have with robots. But whenever a robot fails, the idea that I see communicated is, oh, this is dumb. The robots, they're so dumb. We're never going to see a robot take over in our lives, yada, yada, yada. And I think that's a very intentional. I think that's intentionally implanted in the public. As is explored in this art piece, where he's purposefully creating a robot that fails at its task over and over and over, to kind of speak to that. So I guess I'm just identifying the psychological operation. When you see videos of robots doing a bad job at something, and it's entertaining and it's hilarious, and you might take a sigh of relief that RoboCops aren't going to be marching down the street enforcing whatever vaccinations or curfews or anything like that, or making sure you don't leave your trash can out too late after trash pickup day. There you go. It's don't get comfortable, folks. It's all a big psyop.
Yep, very true. I will say, I think you covered most of the concepts there, but the thing that you have to remember too, the psyop element is, as I watched this, my whole kind of reaction was like, yeah, but number one, this is an art piece. Number two, this is it's all a dial. You know what I mean? If they wanted to equip the Flippy arm with enough sound waves to put out the candle, they can. So it's all, to your point, it is very much a staged, controlled dissemination of the robot takeover.
It is impotence of the robot takeover. I mean, and that's the thing, because they easily could have put a bigger speaker or just put a little fan or something that made this robot blow out the candle. The interesting philosophical part is that he intentionally is causing the robot to fail every time that it tries.
Right. It reminds me of the explanation of the whole alien disclosure. The public would panic if they knew the truth. So,
I think that's I think it's almost a 1-for-1 comparison. Yeah. Every time that we get close to alien disclosure, the headlines will read, CIA intelligence releases documents on alien disclosure. Video from a Navy jet shows unidentified flying object, and it's all very exciting, and you click in, and it's just not enough. It's just barely not enough to be full disclosure, which
Right.
I think it goes along the same lines. It's a purposeful impotence of the evidence that gives you just enough to address the issue you might be thinking about, whether it's robots taking over or aliens being here on Earth. But it's not enough to confirm your fears, and so it's kind of this weird intentional. I know the word I want to use, but I don't want to use it on air. So, but I think you get the point.
Yeah. All right. We got a lot to cover here, so let's move on real quickly. 666 update.
666.
Newsweek.com. Zach Bagans buys these $666 satanic 6-string haunted guitar.
Oh, somebody bought the
supposedly-
guitar.
Yeah, kill the team. We have a name, Zach Bagans. So you can look for Zach's next album to be a hypnotic hit.
You know what? Zach is the perfect name for a man to buy the 666 guitar.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no offense. I don't even mean that in a bad way. Any Zachs who are listening, Zach is the perfect name for somebody to buy the haunted guitar.
Apparently he's the, what is this? Host of Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures. Yeah, right.
So yeah, the perfect guy to get it, I guess.
Good PR, I
Good
guess.
job.
For the show.
Yeah, good PR. That's yeah. I mean, why not? This guy's spending a few $100 to get noticed and have a Newsweek article written on him.
That's actually pretty cheap PR, I gotta say.
Pretty cheap PR.
For someone with a mainstream show on television, $666 is a pretty good deal to get some articles written about you.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on. Oh, here we go.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
This is from the independent.co.uk via MSN. Elon Musk names himself Techno King of Tesla. Elon Musk has given himself the job title, quote, Techno King of Tesla. The change was announced in a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, on Monday alongside a new title for the electric car maker's chief financial officer, Zach Kirkhorn.
Oh, this is an official
yeah.
corporate title.
Oh, it's official.
That's so funny because I was looking at some Elon Musk tweets today, and he changed his bio to Techno King of Tesla. I thought that's what we were talking about. No, he changed the corporate position from whatever it was,
Welcome to
CEO
video
or
game
president,
world.
to Techno King.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Quote, effective as of March 15th, 2021, the title of Elon Musk and Zach Kirkhorn have changed to Techno King of Tesla and Master of Coin, respectively. The filing states Zach Kirkhorn
Wow.
is the Master of Coin.
Say what you will about Tesla, and I would say we have an equally complicated relationship with Elon Musk as we do with Flippy the robot. He's having fun with it. At least he's having fun with it.
I truly think that this is Tesla is spearheading and Elon this video game world. Like we're literally, I think, as machines and robots take over jobs, most people, their income, it's like a gamification
of real life.
Yeah, it's what's that movie that came out a couple years ago?
Ready Player
One. That's literally what I think we're moving towards, and this kind of thing would make sense in that paradigm. So.
Yeah. And it's interesting, from our perspective, keeping an eye on the technocracy, which is, the term means, leadership of technocrats, leadership of basically tech king.
Right.
I mean, I guess
Right.
technically that he would be claiming himself the leader of a techno monarchy, which is basically technocracy with a little less bureaucracy.
Yeah. There was somebody who's been sending us letters. Shout out to you out there. They've been claiming for a long time that they've been setting up Elon Musk to be either the Antichrist or the false prophet. And
did they mention Techno King?
they did not mention the title specifically.
Just
However,
missed it.
I mean, if you're going to have a Antichrist and false prophet, if you read Revelation 13 carefully, it's the false prophet that distributes the mark of the beast, the economic engine, the master of coin as the secondary chief financial officer to the techno king of Tesla.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he got the memo. Elon got the,
Yeah, that's funny.
send it.
I do want to give a shout out to Algorithm. Oh, I get it. Algorithm.
Yeah.
Algorithm over on YouTube says that makes Bill Gates the vaccine king. If he changes his
Wow.
title to vaccine king of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or the world or whatever, then we'll know we're in for some trouble.
F'd up world in the chat.
Uh-huh.
I think we all know what that means.
Yeah,
He said
okay.
Elon Musk does make fire come down from heaven with those rockets landing. So,
Oh,
although again,
man,
that's
that
the
is
false
interesting.
prophet that does that, not the Antichrist proper.
Yeah. Well, just to make a quick comparison too, when I was talking about the philosophy of failing robots, I think that is equally applicable to the failing of Elon Musk's space travel devices. People rejoice when he explodes, when one of his rockets explodes. And I think whether on purpose or not, it does have a similar effect to the fears people have around ubiquitous space travel.
And I think using combustion as the rocket, just using old flammable combustion as the technology is also a massive misdirection.
You mean him not revealing that he's invented anti-gravity nodes?
Yeah, the electromagnetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, got something about the Pope here, Space Pope Reptilian.
Space Pope Reptilian.
This is coming from Daily Mail. So the headline reads, Vatican admits it has nearly depleted its financial reserves and pleads for more donations from the faithful. Oh, okay.
Vatican.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's buying that. For those who've been listening to the show, or for those who haven't, rather, we've been following the weird moves,
The shakeups.
Yes, there's been a very interesting series of shakeups going on with the Vatican, and specifically its financial department. The Pope pretty much gave the keys to the coffer to, I forget his name, but to one singular man, and they've been hardening their rules and their legal processes, specifically against financial crimes being committed with Vatican funds. And it was all very strange. A lot of very strange moves were going down at the Vatican. And so we were keeping an eye on it. We had no idea what it could be. It was just, there's a trail of breadcrumbs in the news. And I think this makes sense. They were flailing because at least they claim, they're out of money. They've depleted their cash
How is that
reserves.
possible?
I have no idea.
I don't buy it.
Well, churches in general have been having a hard time because of coronavirus lockdowns. And of course, Italy has had especially difficult times with lockdowns. But, less people going to Catholic mass, less people going to church, means less tithes, less the offering basket being passed around a little bit less. And depending how much they were dependent on that cash flow at the time, I could see that causing some trouble with the cash reserves.
Well, in the regard of money in, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But the
just cash
Vatican
flow.
is sitting on top of like an ancient library of priceless documents that if they wanted to really, if they need some money, they can release one for auction or something like that. And
yeah,
at the very least,
anybody's going to make the case that the Vatican's broke. It's the biggest real estate owner in the world, and owns. I forget what it was, either more than or close to the amount of gold as the Federal Reserve. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're broke, but that's why they specifically said financial reserves. That's cash reserves that can be easily moved around.
Oh, they didn't get the check from the bailout? Maybe that's what it is. The stimulus bill didn't mention the Vatican, and the Pope slammed his reptilian fist on the desk, and he's like, where's our cash?
Yeah. Well, Gons, I feel good about this one. Not that I am, not that I care at all about the Vatican running out of cash, but over the years of us doing this show, we can sniff something out. We can sniff something happening, and a lot of people wondered why we were giving any airtime at all to the fact that the Vatican, clamped down on their legal process or changed their master of coin. And here we go. It all came up to this.
I wonder if that's
you heard it here
first,
folks, on Canary Cry News Talk.
I'm just waiting for Master of Coin to become a normal title. Like instead of CEO, CFO, we're just going to have the who's your techno king? Might be the start of the 10 kings, in the Bible. Anyway.
Yeah, it'll be techno-feudalism.
Yeah. Well, which is
techno-feudalism would be a much more fun way for the world to go as far as, those apocalypse-ready people. Techno-feudalism is a little bit more of an apocalyptic setup, but technocrat, there's too much bureaucracy. Nobody likes that.
Which, by the way, there's a picture that we're looking at here for those of you just listening and not looking at the screen of Pope Francis boards the papal plane before departing Baghdad. He's another one of those environmental guys, climate change guys, and
he's the Green Pope.
The Green Pope, yet again, as so much has been pointed out, the criticisms of those who claim we have to do something or the planet will die. He himself, the Pope, on a private jet. So
yeah, of course,
all that money,
like Al Gore, him and Al Gore.
Yeah, Al Gore drinking baby blood.
Jeez,
you didn't hear about this? You didn't know about this?
On a private jet, but okay.
Well, that's why they need private jets. They need their.
Yeah, you gotta have your baby blood in peace.
They need their adrenochrome bar without the peasants bothering them.
You're gonna get us tagged for Q stuff again.
We are not QAnon supporters.
We explicitly do not support Q. Speaking of which, let's talk about the vaccine.
Oh yay!
Vaccine.
I wanted to. Just real quick, we named the episode Jab, Jab, Die because multiple layers to this. I looked up Jab, Jab.
Multiple layers.
Do you know what Jab, Jab is in the Caribbean?
In the Caribbean, no.
It's a person dressed up as a devil-like character in Caribbean carnivals who carries a whip used for hitting other devils. And if you look up some pictures, it is hardcore. It's like people dressed up in horns and which has been a theme this year, covered in black, like oil looking thing with whips, and they're like hitting each other, and it is a very strange.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow, what a connection to make. Nice one.
Yeah, and
Jab, Jab.
It'll connect to other stories today, but this first one here,
it will kill.
It was being shared around last week. FoxNews.com. Utah medical examiner says 39-year-old mom's death 4 days after taking COVID vaccine is, quote, temporally related.
What?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wait. Read that again.
Utah medical examiner says 39-year-old mom's death 4 days after taking COVID vaccine is, quote, temporally related.
What a crazy way to put that. What a crazy, like, vague way to say that yeah, she may have died from the jab. Temporally related? What is this guy, like, into Doctor Who?
Yeah, it's a time machine issue.
The
family...
He's been reading too much Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, well, maybe they're just living in your universe where
yeah,
you sleep
that's true.
Till 12:30.
I am also temporally related.
Temporally challenged.
I'm temporally challenged.
Okay, the family of a 39-year-old Utah mother who died just 4 days after taking her second dose of the COVID vaccine believes her death may be directly connected to the vaccine. But medical experts are cautioning the public not to jump to conclusions until all the facts are collected. Not unlike everybody jumped to conclusions on how people were dying last year from COVID over and over again.
Just because something is temporally related, don't go jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, I feel bad for the family. She's way too young to pass away.
Yeah.
Cassidy Kurill, what is that? Kurill? I think that's how you say it. Received her second dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine on Monday, February 1st. Over the next few days, she became sick and her condition worsened. By Friday, Kurill was dead. Kurill's father, Alfred Hawley, told Fox News Wednesday... Holly?
Yeah, sorry. I did hear somebody say it, so I think it's Holly.
Holly told Fox News Wednesday his daughter, quote, was seemingly healthy as a horse and had, quote, no known underlying conditions. Okay, by the way, just real quick, this echo is driving me crazy. This is like insanity.
I'm surprised you're able to do what you're able to do.
I'm gonna have to get some therapy after this or something.
If you want to pass on any reading, you can.
I'm okay.
Reading with an echo is almost impossible. You're doing some real brain exercise.
Yeah, my brain is it's shroomed up.
Yeah,
that's gonna get me in trouble too. Despite his daughter's tragic death, Holly, who is 69 and diabetic, still got the vaccine himself because of the threat COVID-19 poses to his demographic. He says he recognizes that his daughter's tragic death was 1 in a million. Was it? Quote, it appears she was the odd one out that had the terrible reaction, Holly said. Dr. Eric Christensen, chief medical examiner for the Utah Department of Health, told Fox News that Kurill's second dose of the vaccine and her death are only, quote, temporally related. Quote, we don't have any evidence that there are connections between the vaccines and deaths at this point, he said. We don't have any indication of that. Christensen said side effects from the vaccine are to be expected, but how an individual responds to the vaccine, he said, will ultimately be determined by their biology. Quote, certainly there are side effects of a vaccine that are directly linkable to the vaccine and what's going on in your body, Christensen said. You know, the pain in the arm. Do I have the Bill Gates?
The extreme pain.
We're taking.
Oh, that's not it.
The super painful.
Super painful. You know, the pain in the arm, the fever-like symptoms related to your immune response to what was put into you, those kinds of things clearly happen. As of Thursday, March 11th, 2021, more than 500,000 people in Utah have been partially vaccinated. Ooh, that's a weird way to put it. Just because you haven't gotten the second jab, you're only partially vaccinated?
Yeah.
While nearly 340,000 have been fully vaccinated, according to figures from coronavirus.utah.gov. Utah's population is roughly 3.3 million people. Ooh, 3.3. And the FDA requires that vaccination providers report any deaths after COVID vaccinations to the VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Report System. On the VAERS database, there are 4 deaths reported involving Utah residents. One of those 4 deaths matches the age description of Kurill, while the other 3 were all in their 80s. The Utah Department of Health told Fox News that the Office of the Medical Examiner will, quote, investigate any death where the COVID-19 vaccine is mentioned on the death certificate.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote, there's no evidence COVID-19 vaccines have caused any deaths in Utah. How can they just go out? I mean, I don't know. They're
It's just
doctors, so
their
they can-
definition of evidence.
Yeah. Reports.
Temporal relation apparently is not evidence.
Well, they're not explaining it other than, just having it either mentioned on the death certificate or temporally, meaning like, oh, they died in a certain amount of time between, the jab and the death, or like, there's
Yep.
a short amount of time or whatever.
Yeah.
Reports of concern are verified and undergo scientific study. The CDC also follows up on any report of death to request additional information and learn about what occurred and to determine whether the death was a result of the vaccine or unrelated. Okay. Christensen told Fox News that cases involving death after the vaccine are worth investigating, but until we know all the results, it's just speculation.
Yeah. It's all speculation.
Autopsy report pending, etc., etc.
Yeah, well, they're not going to come out and say it was related. I mean, this is sadly not the first time that this has happened. It's happened hundreds of times, and many of them with much more evidence than this that it was related, not just temporally. And I don't think anybody is going to bend any mainstream thing. I don't think anybody's going to bend on the saying that the jab causes anything. That's just the unfortunate detail. I do have to say, Gons, you're doing a great job reading with the Echo, and I speak as somebody who has experience in reading with the Echo, but I will say I can tell your focus is on point. So focus on
I know, I'm trying really
Echo
hard
in
to
your
like
mind. It
take
slows
it
you
slowly.
down
It
a
does.
little bit.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's. I don't think there's much more to say about that. Do you
Speaking of jab,
think? Okay.
that's you. That's my setup for you.
It's all speaking of jab at this point.
I know, but
this
specifically
is-
jabs.
Oh, right. Oh, I get it. Yes. This is coming from Guardian.ng. Headline is Hearns, Hearns, somebody's name, Hearns, blames COVID-19 vaccine for Marvin Hagler's death. Thomas Hearns has claimed Marvin Hagler's death at the age of 66
It's Hagler.
was linked to the coronavirus vaccine he received recently, reports worldboxingnews.net. Hearns, known as the Hitman during his career, took to social media to report that Hagler was fighting for his life in the ICU on Saturday. The ex-boxer also added that Hagler was there due to the after effects of the vaccine. In a sad final statement, Hearns said he believed he'll be just fine, but we could use the positive energy and prayer for his full recovery. Sadly, that didn't happen, and Hagler passed away a short time later. Hearns' revelation will be a massive blow to the continued rollout of the vaccination program. Reports in Europe of the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine causing blood clots in 3 patients already dealt a debilitating thud. Yada, yada, yada. We're aware of that. So yeah, okay, I get it. Jab. We got boxers, which is an interesting case on its own because boxers are generally in pretty good health. Healthy as a horse, just like the Utah woman there.
Do you know about the Hagler? Hagler, by the way, it's not Hagler.
No, I don't know much about boxing.
Okay. Hagler and Hearns had one of the craziest, people say it's the best first round of boxing ever in history. It was really an intense match. And they actually became good friends after that match. And that's why Hearns came out and reported that, hey, he got the vax, he's in the hospital, pray for him, whatever. And then when he passed away, the reason why I used the Guardian.ng for this story was because all of the Western media, Fox, CBS, NBC, all of them were saying anti-vax people jumping on claims that Hagler passed away from the vaccine. It was just covered
it's
with
only
that.
Temporally related.
Only temporally related. So that's the reason why. And I think even the family or maybe Hearns himself came out and said that, like, hey, still get your vax. Like, I wasn't trying to say don't take the vax. It's, he had to kind of do his little apology
You know,
tour
it's
type
it's
thing.
funny that we see that a lot. There was a video popping around. We never covered it on the show necessarily, but it was a woman who has these tremors and
Right.
she's shaking like crazy, and she has either a cane or a walker, I don't recall. And she's like, it's really sad to watch. But she had just gotten her vaccine, and then these tremors started affecting her, and she's taking a video, and you know her voice is all jittery from the tremors, and she's like, I don't feel right doing a tremor impersonation, but you know, she's like,
Good call.
I just got the vaccine and I got these tremors, and I'm not telling anybody not to get it. I'm a nurse. I think she said she was a nurse. I'm a nurse. I'm not saying nobody should get the vaccine, but the vaccine caused me to have these tremors. I haven't stopped shaking in days since I got it, and nobody knows if this is going to be my entire life or if this is new. I'm not saying don't get the vaccine. I think everybody should get it, but just be aware that this is something that could happen. And, you know, I don't think she really wants to say that. I think she has to say that. You have to say that you're not an anti-vaxxer, even if you're making a video about how the vaccine gave you tremors and you're just trying to get the word out there because the mainstream won't cover it. But it's this self-policing that our culture has everybody doing, self-policing, policing each other, self-editing, things like that. It just in order for your voice not to be stifled by the system. And it's very sad to watch.
Yeah. And
Mind
definitely.
control intensifies.
Oh, for sure. I don't have that in front of me. Do I? Maybe.
It's okay.
Well, I do.
Mind control
There it
intensifies.
is. But yeah, even with Hank Aaron, the legendary baseball player who passed away I think in January. It was after he got the vaccine, and you know all these stories like Yahoo and everybody saying like, oh, you know, the real cause for Hank Aaron's death revealed. He died of natural causes, not from the vaccine. You know,
Nobody's buying it. The hilarious part about it is they think people actually are buying it.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to watch how, you know, more and more people, like we saw even like LeBron James, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. LeBron James came out and was like, "Oh, it's a private matter. I'm not."
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, and
didn't something if something didn't happen, you can bet your bottom dollar it will, because of the NBA's connections to China and things like that. He's gonna get punished.
And
I don't
that's
know what
a guy
it is, but
who
you don't get away. No NBA player gets away with speaking their mind.
No, and especially LeBron is a guy who spends $1 million a year on his body. He's a dude that's, you know, he's got some expendable cash.
Oh, just staying,
just to
peak
stay in
condition.
shape and have probably cutting edge medical treatments or whatever.
Sure.
To be 36 years old, and he's still like jumping over people's heads and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to watch, especially as it pertains to the African American community, because they're already skeptical of the whole thing, you know. And all their legendary sports leaders or not all, but I mean just a handful of them are passing away right after the vaccine. It's just just coincidence, I guess. Next up here, we have a fact check. I don't have my fact checker jingle. I think we've had a couple sent to us too. But in any case, Newsweek.com fact check have 966 people died after receiving the COVID vaccine? ? It says here the U.S. COVID vaccine rollout has seen over 90 million people receive at least one dose, according to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention data as of March 7th. Scientists told Newsweek on February 24th that serious side effects from the vaccine were rare at a time when 65 million doses had been given. Some examples of common reported side effects include pain at the site of injection and tiredness. There also have been reports of people dying after receiving the vaccine based on data from the CDC's VAERS reporting database. VAERS in the US-based early warning system for vaccine side effects, or is. Healthcare professionals are required to report certain adverse events that occur after vaccines to the system, but it is not designed to give information on what caused the events, such as deaths. I like how death is an event. Far-right U.S. news outlets like the Epoch Times reported on March 6th that 966 people had died after having the Pfizer or Moderna COVID vaccines. The report said it had drawn the data from various reports between December 14th of 2020 and February 19th, 2021. According to the report, 472 people died after receiving a Moderna vaccine, while 489 died after receiving a Pfizer vaccine. Additionally, 5 people died after receiving a jab from an unknown manufacturer.
Oh, are these black market vaccines?
I don't know, but it's only
That's
5,
funny.
so, whatever. The report also included data on the age group and gender. It showed the largest population of deaths, 29%, occurred in people ages 80 to 89. It also showed males accounted for 55% of deaths to 43% of females. It said the deaths had occurred between 0 and 49 days after vaccination, with 94 unknown. The article,
Dang, 0? That means some people died the same day they got the vaccine.
yeah, well,
Talk about being temporally related.
right. Wasn't that lady has anybody seen the Tiffany Dover? Wasn't she the one that fell over and passed out?
But you're talking about the nurse?
The nurse lady? Yeah.
Yeah,
she-
I don't think she died, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
The article has been shared on Twitter, and users have gained hundreds of retweets and likes from posting a screenshot of the VAERS data reported by the Epoch Times. Facts! The facts!
Okay, let's get the facts.
There are hundreds of
Newsweek.
reports of people having died after getting a COVID vaccine, but that does not necessarily mean the vaccine was the cause.
No, of course.
Using Wonder, all capital letters, the CDC's VAERS database search tool, Newsweek gathered adverse report data specifically on deaths following a COVID vaccine from Moderna or Pfizer. It is important to note that our data contain VAERS reports processed as of February 26th.
Very
Newsweek
important.
selected only deaths as an adverse event and selected the COVID vaccine as the only vaccine in the data set. We specified Pfizer and Moderna as the vaccine manufacturers. We also chose our symptom onset intervals as all days, which range from 0 to over 120 days. We did not specify gender or age in the overall results. Our time frame ran from earliest possible dates before 1990 to ensure every COVID vaccine was included.
Weird.
That's
Why would
weird. Why would
you do
you-
that?
That makes okay, weird.
There's
I think they're trying to make the case that only look how little the number of people have died. Our
we
VAERS
took
results-
a wide swath. We
Yeah.
had very broad heuristics.
Our VAERS results showed 970 people died after being given a Pfizer or Moderna vaccine shot. How long has Pfizer vaccines been on the market? Or has Pfizer before this, the C19, have they had a product on market?
I don't really know.
I know
think the
Moderna
biggest
hasn't.
regular.
Moderna, this is
No,
their first
Moderna
thing.
has not. I think the biggest regular vaccine company is Merck. I don't really know about Pfizer.
About Johnson.
Janssen, I don't know either. I think they have. I think
No,
they
they've had- I think
have
they've
been
had it.
manufacturing for a while.
Newsweek contacted, so of those deaths, 495 occurred following a Moderna shot and 475 occurred following a Pfizer shot. Oh,
Okay.
Moderna's winning. Newsweek contacted Pfizer and Moderna for comment. And there's a screenshot here for those of you watching of the test results. Then it says, this differs slightly from the Epoch Times' data, which showed 489 had died after receiving a Pfizer shot and 472 after receiving a Moderna shot. However, the final results is close. It is
Okay.
unclear why data seen by Newsweek differed from the Epoch Times' data. I mean, it's not that different.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
what is this? A discrepancy of what?
So what's
20,
the
30?
deal? What's the ruling? Are they
We'll
calling
get
it
to
true?
it.
Or are they calling it false?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
This might be because the data had been updated since the Epoch Times ran blah, blah, blah. Okay. The Epoch Times did not specify whether it had used Wonder. The ruling Mostly true.
Okay.
The VAERS database is dense with data, and the Wonder system might return slightly different statistics depending on how the user wants the data to be displayed. Even if the search parameters are kept the same, Newsweek could not independently replicate the exact method the Epoch Times used to gather its data, but over VAERS, death results were very close to those reported by the outlet. So they're kind of having to admit that, Epoch Times didn't exactly lie here. However, it is false to say that COVID vaccines have caused 966 deaths because the VAERS database is not designed to give this information. For example, in the dataset published by the Epoch Times, one of the people who died after getting a vaccine had also been injured in a car crash between getting the jab and the date of their death, but the case was still included in the data set. What does this sound
nice
like?
Little double speak.
What does this sound like? Sounds like COVID deaths after a dude died from a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, so apparently we can't count a motorcycle accident as a vaccine death, but you can count a motorcycle accident as a COVID death.
Right.
I see. Okay. I'm glad they cleared that up.
The CDC said on its adverse events page, updated March 1st, quote, to date, VAERS has not detected patterns in cause of death that would indicate a safety problem with COVID-19 vaccines. Kent Woods, former chief executive of the UK Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, previously told Newsweek that a person suddenly dying after having a vaccine is not proof that the vaccine caused the death.
They are scum.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's true. The fact check is true, but not true. It's true with the caveat.
Yeah, of course. Well, speaking of vaccine deaths, let's head over here to metro.co.uk. If you remember the past episode or two, we talked about some Scandinavian countries banning the AstraZeneca, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, because a lady in Austria had a blood clot following getting the vaccine.
Yep.
And this is a beautiful example of, I don't know, I guess the same sort of double speak when it comes to vaccine deaths. Of course, we identified the fact that this was AstraZeneca had one, I think they're up to 3 now, 3 blood clot cases, and countries across the EU and Europe were completely banning the AstraZeneca vaccine. And yet the Pfizer and Moderna and other vaccines are totally fine, even though there's deaths temporally related to those as well. I think we identified that this was an economic move. This is a financial move, a predatory link between Pfizer and or Moderna trying to assassinate the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. But let's see where we're at with this. The headline is Dr. Vows. This is a vow, Gons. Dr. vows there is no link between Oxford COVID-19 vaccine and blood clots amid fears. This guy better watch out. If he's a real doctor, you don't want to get Pfizer and Moderna against you, but he's vowing.
Okay, before we get into the story, I just want everybody to know, especially those just listening, that this doctor he's dressed like the Joker. He's got like a blue suit jacket on with an
aquamarine jacket.
Is it aquamarine? Okay, so
looks
aquamarine
like it.
Marine jacket with a what color is that?
It looks like an Easter bow tie. Easter
is that
pastel.
What that is? I think there's a pelican. It's a very colorful bow tie. I don't know if I would trust a guy like this.
Yeah,
telling me about
and that was his big problem, is he's not wearing the lab coat. If you want people to trust you on TV as a doctor, you have to wear a lab coat. You got to have a stethoscope around your neck.
His haircut is a little too hip. But anyway, go on with the story. Okay. Let's see what he says here.
It reads here, it was revealed that, I'll start from the this byline here. Dr. Amir Khan insisted there is no link between Oxford's AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine and blood clots. It was revealed that Denmark, Norway, and Iceland were among the countries which have suspended the use of the Oxford jab to investigate possible side effects of clots. By the way, I do want to say, I mean, we've kind of transferred in to the jab language, saying jab. But, you know, this was a purposeful shift of language that we identified way early on. Instead of using the American term shot, getting a shot, the entire lexicon around the vaccine worldwide has changed to jab, which was originally a UK word for it. So anyways. Appearing on today's Good Morning Britain, Dr. Khan explained that this was simply a precautionary measure and that the numbers don't add up. Oh, okay. The numbers aren't adding up. Speaking to hosts Katie Garraway and Ben Shepherd, he said, quote, Denmark, Norway, Iceland have paused the rollout of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine because there were some reports of blood clots in those other people who had them. The European Medicines Agency has come out very clearly to say that there is no link between the vaccine, the Oxford vaccine, and blood clots. Oxford AstraZeneca themselves had said that the vaccine went through rigorous clinical trials, and this is not a known side effect. Okay, well, you know, if the company said it themselves. Quote continues, and when you look at the numbers, it doesn't really add up. 5 million people across Europe and the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, 30 of them developed blood clots. Oh, that's an updated number. When you look at the background to that, 1 in 1,000 people would develop blood clots anyway without the vaccine. So I do want to allay people's concerns. There is no link between the vaccine and blood clots. When Kate asked about the link between coronavirus and blood clots and whether this has sparked concern over the vaccine, the health expert emphasized that the jab has nothing to do with this. The two are very separate, he continued. Coronavirus itself can affect the way your blood clots and increase the risk of clotting. It increases inflammation in the body, which again can increase your risk of blood clotting. However, the vaccines don't contain the virus. This is such a funny point to make. Like, yeah, well, some people think coronavirus vaccine can give you blood clots, but coronavirus can give you blood clots. So it's this weird, like, whataboutism.
Yeah.
You know, it can't give you coronavirus by having the vaccine, yada, yada, yada. We know that. The suspension of the Oxford AstraZeneca jab in Denmark comes after an Austrian woman died of severe coagulation problems after taking the jab, and 3 more cases of blood clotting issues have been reported in the country. Oh, so there's that 3 number that I was with. But before it mentioned 30. Health authorities say they are acting early to fully investigate the reports, with the European Medicines Agency announcing it had found no link between Oxford vaccine and the woman's health. There is currently no indication, yada, yada, yada. I would be very interested to see if this doctor is on the Oxford AstraZeneca incentivization list as a doctor.
Yeah, like a payroll.
Yeah.
Propaganda payroll is what we should call it.
Yep, because that's what you do. When you have something wrong, go with one of your drugs. If you're a drug company, you just get one of your doctors that's on the payroll to go on the news and assuage everybody's fears.
Well, he is part of a literary agency for his book, and he's a lecturer at the University of Leeds School of Medicine and the University of Bradford. So university connection
so seeing
there.
If any of those are connected to Oxford or have some sort of partnership with Oxford would be a connection to look for.
I mean, just being a university guy with a book out there, and he's
right.
You know,
you need the approval of Oxford.
Yeah.
To
I don't think this happens randomly. This is like a PR war.
He's in the system. He's in the higher education system, which of course, Oxford would have ties to that entire web
apparatus.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go.
Okay. Well, there you go. Don't worry, folks. If your blood's clotting, you're fine.
Guy with the colorful ties says
Rub dirt in it.
not part of the vaccine, so take it. Take it. He has a book too called what's the name of this book?
Just take the money, get the vaccine.
No, that's not what it's called. What is it?
Okay.
It is The Doctor Will See You Now, The Highs and Lows of My Life as an NHSGP.
It's an autobiography. Ugh.
Ugh.
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah, so must be pretty factual, dude.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next?
Next up, what do we have here? Oh, this one from BBC News. COVID. Judge rules man with learning difficulties should be vaccinated. That's a soft way of putting it here.
Judge rules?
Yeah. A man
Why
with
is a judge having to rule this?
Yeah, a man with severe learning difficulties should have a COVID-19 vaccine despite his family's objections. A judge ruled. Specialists said the man, who is in his 30s, was, quote, clinically vulnerable and in a, quote, priority group for vaccination. But the man's parents objected and raised a number of concerns about alleged side effects. Judge Jonathan Butler agreed with NHS Tameside and Glossop Clinical Commissioning Group.
That's another UK story.
Another UK, yep. BBC. That vaccination was his best interest. I like how these organizations just tell you what's in your best interest.
Yeah, well, that's great. The NHS, you got the government telling the family what's in the best interest of their son.
The judge, who is based in Manchester, considered the case at a hearing in the Court of Protection, where issues related to people who lack the mental capacity to make decisions are analyzed. He did not name the man in his written ruling published on Friday. A number of specialists involved in a man's. I'm falling apart. The number. Blah.
Gosh, the echo.
The echo is getting to my brain.
To him, folks.
A number of specialists involved in the man's care all thought he should be vaccinated, but his father claimed the vaccine had not been tested sufficiently and did not stop people contracting COVID-19. Both true. Yeah. He added the long-term side effects on people with severe health issues were unknown. The man's mother and brother agreed. Judge Butler said the man's father had outlined his concerns with, quote, conviction and great clarity. He added, I have no doubt whatsoever that his objections are founded on a love for his son and a wish to ensure that he comes to no harm. His objections were not intrinsically logical. They were certainly not deliberately obstructive. They were made upon the basis as to what he regards as being in the best interests of his son. That concern for his son does him credit, but he said the family's objections had, quote, no clinical evidence base. This is very strange. Just the how they use some of the evidence or not use the evidence depending on the argument. You know, it's very, it's like, look at all the science.
Yeah. Well, the problem with this, at least from an American perspective, is it harkens to the Cuomo eugenics debacle.
Yeah.
Where Cuomo, whether on purpose or not, put a bunch of people in this similar condition in basically a COVID death trap.
Right.
Not talking about the elderly homes, but he did a similar thing with a disability or I don't know what it was, a group home or something, or some sort of clinic that gave a bunch of people in this category COVID. So, yeah.
So basically, if you have mental issues in the UK, you have no rights.
Yeah, that's that NHS thing, that government-based socialized medicine. Yep.
And that, I think, sets a bad precedent for U.S. citizens. Hopefully, you know, we may see something similar out here. I can see it happening.
Yeah, you know, haven't really heard much about vaccines and people in this category.
Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe we should look into it.
I think it's, you know, the blueprint. Why would you not? But let's see. I think that is it for this story. There's a couple more stories related to the vaccine. This one has to do with propaganda, interestingly enough.
Great.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
And just real quick here, usnews.com, Russia, US locked in propaganda war over vaccines.
Mm.
And it says here, Russia on Friday accused the US of preparing a massive disinformation campaign to discredit Moscow's coronavirus vaccine, Sputnik 5, in the eyes of European leaders and in other countries with.
Oh, this is the one you get an ice cream cone if you get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Fun.
With which world powers seek greater relations. Citing an unnamed source from the Kremlin who referenced intelligence reports, Russian state news claimed the large-scale campaign will be, according to a translation, quote, aimed at creating a bias toward domestic scientific developments of Russia's COVID-19 vaccine, particularly for countries that have already signed up to receive it. It also claims the U.S. was pushing instead for countries to agree to receive its own vaccines, particularly one developed by Pfizer. Pfizer, man, they're just like pushing it everywhere. They're the bully vaccine company on the block.
They really are. They're the big kid on the playground.
And connected to Germany, so Nazi. It's the Nazi jab. Please don't quote me on that. The State Department and its Global Engagement Center, a relatively new office tasked with countering disinformation, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. However, Russia's claims follow similar assertions from U.S. officials and confirmed by State Department spokesman Ned Price earlier this week that Moscow was behind a similar campaign targeting U.S.-made vaccines. I mean, this has gotten to the point where it's like, you lie. No, you lie.
Well, you know what the funny thing about this is? They're making it a nationalist issue.
Yeah.
Russian vaccines versus American vaccines. Who will win? And it's just like, no. I mean, putting it in a nationalist context is such a diversion. This is about the companies that have developed vaccines and want to make money off of their work.
Yeah.
Of course, Pfizer, like you said, big kid on the playground, wants the whole world to take Pfizer. And as we've seen, they have taken drastic steps across the board to keep people from, or to keep as many vaccines from being accepted in the public. Moderna was only given a pass because Fauci has a big stake in the company. So, you know, I truly believe that's the only reason Moderna is even on the ticket.
Do you have
on the billboard?
Do you have hard evidence for that? Because I did find, you know, Fauci's involvement with the NIH and NIAID and stuff like that with holding the patents and stuff. But do you have like a source for Fauci actually owning stock in Moderna, like in terms of?
Oh, you know, I don't have it on me. We went through it last year at some point, but yeah, maybe we need to compile the documents again and revisit that before we
just
keep
say
talking
false
about that.
news on the show. No, it's not false news, but just
because
I've had a couple people ask
maybe it
me
is. We went through it. It's been it was sometime last year. I mean, it's at least 6 months ago that we went through that.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's a good idea. We should dig up that evidence again and present it if we're going to keep talking about it.
And especially, I think this, going back to the story here, very much the people behind the curtain, if they want to stir things up, this is what they do. They pin two countries or two political aisles or whatever it is against each other. There's a financial incentive for the people on the ground, or, you know, big pharma. And, you know, it's just a great way to progress their agenda. And because, you know, I can picture some people that were, well, I don't know, maybe not with Russia, but a sort of nationalistic, like, hey, no, we want our companies to do well. I mean, Trump was certainly like that. Trump was very much like pro any U.S. made anything. in terms of
Right.
manufacturing.
Well, it's I guess the point is it's not about efficacy.
No,
it's not
not at
about
all.
which vaccine works or doesn't work
Right,
or
right.
whatever, or if any of them work.
Yeah.
It's just about keeping Russian money in Russia
Yeah.
versus sending it off to an American company.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, this
sorry.
mask
I was
story.
trying to do a quick search about the Moderna thing. I believe Bill Gates is a big player in Moderna specifically as
Bill
well.
Gates is. His name
Yeah.
has been removed from all of their website stuff. So you'd have
Right.
to go
So
into the
that
archives.
would be another reason why Moderna would be allowed in the ring,
Yeah.
and why Pfizer would be disincentivized to to bully Moderna too much.
Yeah.
If you're working alone,
Okay, one last thing. Are you done?
for
You good
you.
with that?
is to protect the people you care about.
I was just playing a jingle, but
Yeah, with our new setup, it's hard for me to hear the jingles.
Yeah.
It just cuts off more. So sorry if I step on more of them this show. This comes from The Guardian, just quick little mask story that was sent to me by producer Ciara. So thank you very much. The headline, this is from, theguardian.com. The headline, Texas police handcuff maskless woman who asked, quote, "What are you going to do? Arrest me?" An arrest warrant was issued for a woman who refused to wear a mask at a Texas bank, saying to the police officer, "What are you going to do? Arrest me?" This lady's got spunk. Don't mess with the Texas ladies, man. Police issued a warrant for the arrest of Terry Wright, 65, of Grants Pass, Oregon. Oh, she's from Oregon in Texas. Interesting. The incident on Thursday at a Bank of America in Galveston was captured by the officer's body camera. The Galveston County Daily News reported. Police said they had obtained an arrest warrant on resisting arrest and criminal trespassing charges. More about that in a second. Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, has ended statewide orders requiring people to wear face masks in public places, declaring businesses should decide for themselves what COVID-19 precautions to take place on their properties. Many businesses have kept their own mask rules in place. Police said bank managers, blah, blah, blah. They got her. So I found this very fascinating, not just because somebody got arrested for not wearing a mask in Texas, although that's its own interesting part of the story, but especially because this happened in Texas. There's an interesting connection to the gun conversation. Of course, Texas is known for its relatively free relatively free gun laws. And for those who aren't familiar, the charges brought against this woman, resisting arrest and criminal charges, might ring a bell for you, because in states like Texas and depending on licensing, other places like Oregon, Nevada, there's a whole handful of states where you can carry a gun anywhere. Literally anywhere. You can bring it to a mall. You can carry it in a bank. You can carry it in a movie theater. You can everywhere except for government buildings. You can carry a gun. Now, a company can put up a sign that says no guns allowed, but that sign is not legally binding. So, if your bank has a little sign that says no guns allowed here, don't even think about it, you can still bring a gun into the building and it's not illegal. But if somebody in the bank says, "Hey, please leave. We don't want you to have a gun in here," you must leave. And if you don't leave, you don't get charged with anything relating to the gun, but you do get charged with trespassing. And that's kind of the big connection that I saw with this story, which is these masks, or these mask laws in Texas right now, are being treated similar to gun laws, which I thought is an interesting connection, especially considering the sort of social paradigm where, the same people who would refuse to wear a mask are probably the same people carrying guns, at least in the eyes of the mainstream or the over socialized. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a very interesting connection that it's opposite. It's kind of moving in the opposite direction, where if you don't have a mask, you can get busted for trespassing. Similar to the fact that if you do have a gun, you don't get in trouble for having a gun, much like you won't get in trouble specifically for not having a mask. But they use these little workarounds with trespassing laws in order to give a little bit of power to private institutions. And the fact that it's happening in Texas is a very interesting messaging to the rest of the states, who both have a little bit more lax gun laws and are not requiring masks. So interesting connection. That's it. Not much else to say.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the guns, I can see a little bit more of a immediate application for a private business being like, hey, we don't feel comfortable with you having a gun in here. We get that it's, you can open carry, but we just personally, as a private business, feel uncomfortable. Please go outside, or we'll nail you for trespassing.
Yeah,
I understand that. The mask, though.
Well, that's the funny. There's a couple of funny parts about it, which is it happened in a bank, which, of course, it's hilarious. Before COVID, if you wore a mask in a bank, you'd get arrested.
Yeah.
Now you have to wear a mask in a bank or you get arrested. And the connection between wearing a mask in a bank and carrying a gun is hilarious. Yeah, it's topsy-turvy world, man.
It's just so bizarre, and I don't know if it doesn't help when these this woman kind of starts mocking the whole thing.
Yeah,
like, I understand her sentiment.
It doesn't look like it would put her in a good light.
No, and I think obviously a lot of us here are in agreement with her premise.
Mm-hmm.
But when she calls them. What did she call them? She called them sheep or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just not a good look.
It's just another piece of, useful propaganda against people who don't wear a mask. And that's the unfortunate part about it. If you're out there and you're a staunch anti-masker and you're getting in situations like this, always consider how it might look on the internet, the things that you say.
Yeah. Yeah. She says it's police brutality, which... It's not really police brutality, but she's pretty, the guy's being pretty rough with her.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cool.
And then she says, wow, what a bunch of sheep. I mean, I might say the same thing if they were trying to get, put handcuffs on me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain, if you had a bad night's sleep, you get
people don't consider that enough. If the time changes and you're stuck in a time portal and you're supposed to hop online with a co-host at like 9:30, 10 a.m. and it's 12:30 and you're still snoozing.
I know people just don't understand, those temporal relations can really cause trouble. Speaking of temporal relations, Gons, I think we should take a break.
Let's do it.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're checking back in with deep fakes and a mother update.
Oh,
and
the story is insanity, but go ahead. Sorry.
We're going to be checking in with the Beast system across the board with some AI updates, CRISPR updates, race wars, and yeah, all sorts of some baby sacrifice. Oh goodness! So promises to be a good second half of show.
Stick around. Deep fake and baby sacrificing.
Oh jeez. So stick around. But first, we want to thank some of our producers of this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 312. And if you're new to the show, that's right, I did say producers, because we are on the value for value model. You may notice no ad reads, no affiliate codes, no nothing, because all corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. We know this. As the nephew of Sigmund Freud, Edward Bernays said, he's the godfather of advertising in the mid-20th century. Oh, he just had a lot to say about how advertising is mind control, and the average man needs an elite man at the top to tell them what to think about the world and how to respond to it. Create needs and then fill them. It's all connected with the Hegelian dialectic as well. And not to mention that Facebook, Google, all the big evil companies that we complain about, 99% of their profits and revenue come from advertising. So it only stands to reason that participating in the advertising industry is totally against everything we stand for on this show. It's not very good for our wallets or bank account, but at least we can sleep at night. And so that's why we're on the value for value model, which does not commoditize your attention and your trust that you may put into the show. Instead, you get a chance to participate in the propagation of the show. And that's the truth. We cannot produce the show without our producers. And that's exactly what you are, because this is the real world, folks. This isn't some internet playground version of real life. This is real life. And so if you help produce the show, whether that's with your time, talent, or treasure, you are a producer of the show. It's a real title. You can put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your resume, give them our email. We will vouch for you, baby. So those of you who are watching live, and even if you're not watching live, please go ahead and thank a producer today, because they are the reason that you are able to listen to this episode. So I want to start out with letting you know about patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And Gons, get the alarm ready. We have one new Patreon producer, and I want to thank our brand new producer Carla.
Thank you, producer Carla.
Thank you very much, producer Carla. Couldn't do without you. Okay, now here's the thing, folks. If you don't like Patreon, that is okay. We support you. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support has got all sorts of fun things on it. You've got, all sorts of ways to support the show. First of all, you can come in with a monthly producership. If you want to commit to keeping the show going on a monthly basis, we appreciate all of our monthly producers so much for helping to lay down a firm foundation for the show. And that's through PayPal there. But if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount that you would like. The freedom we provide, the options, it's amazing. And that's all through PayPal there. You can also read about the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. You're going to want to do that. That's very important. And, of course, for our crypto friends out there, that's right, we are crypto friendly. You can use your cryptocurrency to produce the show as well. It will be anonymous unless you send us an email, and that way we can give you credit for it. Thank you so much. Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
PayPal, which before we do, did you see crypto crashed? Bitcoin crashed to $56,000.
Crashed 9%. Yeah, hey, it's okay. For those who are not used to crypto, if you're used to crypto, a 9% pullback is that's nothing. You see that on a daily basis.
Yeah. All right, so PayPal, we have some of our producers we need to thank. First up, Stephen C. Or maybe Stefan. I think it's Stephen.
Thank you very much. What do you think? Stephen or Stefan C.
Stephen!
Yeah, I say Stephen.
Yeah. This looks like some sort of special number, although I don't know what it is. $5.11. Oh, new recurring. Thank you very much, monthly producer Stephen. Stefan.
Yeah,
Stephen?
Stefan. Maybe it's Ephesians 5:11. That's one of our tiers on Canary Cry Radio Patreon. Which I know Patreon is another, again, I mentioned it in the last episode, but a couple of our peer truther types out there got banned from Patreon, which It is not surprising since we almost did as well. So
Yeah, we had to fight that good fight.
it is a thing. All right. Next up, producer Spears Desert.
Thank you very much, producer Spears Desert.
And next up, producer Ismail S.
Thank you very much, Ishmael S. with the 33 Illuminati Handler producership.
Yep. Another Illuminati handler in or I guess we're in his back pocket.
We've got a whole bullpen.
Yeah,
Whole
it's a
bullpen of
That's a good
Illuminati
bullpen.
handlers.
Next up, producer Yvonne.
Thank you very much, Yvonne.
And I believe
You
she's
think
in the
it's
chat.
Yvonne or Yvonne?
I don't know. I've
Correct us.
it's been Yvonne, at least people that I've known with that spelling is Yvonne. Joni of Arc, aka JOA. I think that's who I saw in the chat.
Oh, yeah, that's her in the chat. Okay, great.
Thanks for your service, men. Keep up the good fight for the just. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much, Joni of Arc.
I see her in the chat there. Coffee and Danish. It just went by here. Hold on. Coffee and Danish, 28 and 88. When the mood strikes me, or you look sluggish. JOA to you guys. There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Malik. I almost said Malik. That's your
I
fault.
know. I was wondering. I saw that before the show. I'm like, I'm going to let him read this. We'll see what he says.
And he said, much love, guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, producer Malik.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have our executive producer for episode 312, producer Kyle H.
Thank you very much, producer Kyle.
Coming in strong, producer Kyle. Thank you. Appreciate it. No note. Next up, producer Kimberly W. with a pocket full of sevens.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer Kimberly.
And she says, radically following Jesus, he's alone. Hold on. I think she meant he alone is worth it.
Yeah.
Shield maiden for Christ, I think in the chat.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you very much, producer Kim. And lastly here, coming in, sliding in home here, last second, Shield Labs.
Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs.
No note for that one?
Let me double check. No note.
No note. No. All right, that does it for our producers coming in with the treasure. You can also give us your time and talent. People like Jade Bouncerson coming in with the timestamps. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And just to repeat it here, Jade Bouncerson has been doing our timestamps for a long time. We very much appreciate it. Timestamps, if you're over on YouTube, whether you're if you're coming in after the live broadcast, you'll notice either a pinned comment or in the description section, there will be timestamps that will be able to lead you to jump around, listen to different topics without having to listen to the whole show. Very valuable, especially for people who don't have 3 hours to kill. So we thank producer Jade Bouncerson for that. And if anybody else wants to volunteer your time to become a producer in that regard, you can go ahead and email jadebouncerson@gmail.com. That's JADE Bouncerson, just how it sounds, BOUNCERSON @gmail.com. I know she would appreciate some help. But, they're also a champion in their own right.
That's right. And with your time and talent, you can send us jingles, which we have a couple today. This first one is from Mr. Magoo. We called for we called for a review jingle. And so Mr. Magoo went to his lab and came out with this thing. Every time we read a review.
Every time. Okay, beauty. You certainly got a style, Mr. Magoo. Thank you so much. Look, Mr. Magoo, you've got a great style. You almost always answer the call when we ask for a review, and we're very grateful for that.
Jingle.
And what did I say?
You said
review, didn't I? Weird.
It got you. Mind controlled you.
I know. So maybe we can tweak it a little bit, Gons. Put a beat under that, make it a collab, something like that.
Or an explosion underneath or something.
Something.
Yeah, I'll figure it
Very
out.
good. Thank you, producer Magoo.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we got a couple from Sergey. Producer Sergey sent us this triggered ISO.
I take a shower, I'm triggered. I get in the car, I'm triggered.
That's a tough
good one.
life. If you're that triggered all the time, man.
Yeah. Well,
must be
you know,
rough.
that's it's unfortunately kind of the norm nowadays for a lot of
Apparently.
people.
Yeah, the normies are just triggered just when they wake up. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm breathing. I'm triggered. Producer Sergey also sent us this one here.
Your parents would be very ashamed.
Little parents would be ashamed.
Is that for us to shame people with?
Yeah, he suggested we use it when people in the chat are not being nice.
Okay.
That's
A little bit of chat shame.
Chat shame, a little
Watch
something
out,
for our
chat.
for our toolbox of jingles and ISOs. So thank you for
Equipping
that.
us to fight off the the nasty madness that can come through the chat sometimes.
Yeah, don't use the block function. That would be too convenient. Just drop
I
the chat
love it.
shame.
I love to wield the power of the block function. and you know, there's a couple moments in the past couple episodes where I've definitely had to block some people. And I mean, just to be clear, the fact of the matter is I do not negotiate with terrorists. I will wield that block function so quickly. It's just like if it was like Bush after 9/11. Watch out. Give me a reason.
Wow. Okay. That's comparing yourself to Bush Jr. That's a kind of a new low for you, I would say.
Well, you know, I was talking to somebody recently about the Bush era directly following 9/11. Okay, so before Patriot Act, you know, before things got weird, before things really went downhill. I was having a conversation with somebody about how directly after 9/11 there was unmatched bipartisan support for President Bush. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, whatever.
Yeah.
We got to go get the terrorists. And even on the liberal side, on the Democrat side, and this person I was talking with is a registered Democrat, you know, they said, yeah, no, even Democrats, we would not let each other say something nasty about Bush directly after 9/11. It was a strange moment of unity. And of course, we know that that's manufactured. It's meant that way. And so, yeah, there you go. Why am I talking about this?
I have no clue.
Oh, he was just free to make any moves he wants because he had the mix between trauma and bipartisanship is a poisonous combination in American politics. You mix trauma with bipartisanship and nasty. That's where you get the Patriot Act. That's where you get, you know, some nasty COVID relief stuff. So, yeah, there you go. If you want to know, you want to mess with me in the chat, just imagine Bush right after 9/11 having a free pass to do whatever he wants.
Excellent. I'm reminded of a Bill Burr joke. He talks about how Bush Jr. can't even pronounce terror. He says terror.
Nuclear.
Terror.
I do have that
There's
in
some
common
terror.
with Bush Jr. as well. My inability to distinguish between nuclear and nuclear.
But you can duck a shoe coming at you just as well.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, try it.
That's enough killing time here. I don't even know how we got on that little sidetrack. We're thanking people, Basil.
Rabbit trail after
My
rabbit
gosh.
trail.
Okay, so jingles and ISOs. Thank you, Mr. Magoo. Thank you, producer Sergey. And we have some art to share with you.
One art, please.
This first one is from producer Christine, I believe. And this one slipped by us in the last episode. We apologize about that.
A
Producer
few
Christine.
episodes.
Oh, was
This
it a
has
few?
slipped by for a few episodes.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
while I'm interrupting, I do have to give a shout out to Runk Smash in the chat who said 7-Eleven is a part-time job. Like 9/11 is an inside job.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Thank you
All
for
right,
that.
let's get back to the art.
Appreciate it. Okay. Do you want to describe what's going on here?
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is there's a lot going on here. So bear with me here. We've got an Uncle Sam type figure with some devil horns and
He's
a
a
devil
goat.
tail. Huh?
He looks like a goat. like a goat version of not greatest of all time, the actual animal goat.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. The interesting thing to point out, the original Uncle Sam with his crazy sideburns and long chin beard, but no mustache, it is very goat reminiscent.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's something to break down there, but this one's got horns as well and a devil tail coming out the back. On the devil tail, it says deflation. And there's a balloon with connected to a spending pump, and the balloon is, well, ballooning. And the little devil tail is reaching around and popping that balloon. Of course, an interesting depiction of the inflationary things that we are facing here in the United States with the COVID relief stuff.
The financial bubble.
Yep. On the left, it says here, because gold is honest money, it is disliked by dishonest men. And that's a quote from Rawdon Paul. Down below, it says, inflation is the one form of taxation that can be imposed without legislation. And that's from Milton Friedman. Wow. Two great quotes. And all the way on the right, little explanation of inflation. Inflation is when you pay $15 for the $10 haircut you used to get for $5, which is a quote from Sam Ewing. Sam Ewing. And there you go. A beautiful cartoonish depiction, and yet speaks so loudly of Uncle Sam creating inflation and then popping it with deflation. The fiat money system, folks. Oh my gosh, I didn't want to get into it. I really fought bringing up this story at the beginning. Actually, I was hanging out with a friend, a couple friend who my good buddy I've known for a long time, and his girlfriend. And we had a long conversation about Bitcoin investing and fiat. And it was a prime example. She kept calling the stock market and Bitcoin fake money. And I kept trying to explain. Yeah,
interesting.
I kept trying to explain, all money is fake money. And fiat currency, especially the dollar, is explicitly fake money controlled by a central authority. But the message wasn't getting across. It was a little frustrating, but still love both of them.
Normies.
Oh yeah, good call. So yeah, some real the normie power was strong with these ones.
Normie stench.
Yeah,
that's right.
They just love their Illuminati dollar.
Bless your heart for hanging out with normies.
I know it's not much, but it's a
full-time job.
Yeah.
Next up, so thank you for that, Christine. It's a very informative piece, I would say. Maybe show the normie friend this illustration to get an idea.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they would love that.
Next up, we have a couple pieces from the Hungarian.
Okay, we got our Hungarian back in the house.
Yeah, he signed off on his message as the Hungry Hungarian. So we'll go with that. This first one is the space reptilian Pope on the Lake of Fire.
Ooh,
and that's what it is. It's a
That's
reptilian
exactly what
Pope.
it is. A sort of monstrous lizard dragon person in a Pope hat, just wandering amongst the flames.
Up to his neck in flames. So very good to see Space Pope reptilian on fire. Next one is, I believe this is an image of the Pope. And it says here that I do not believe that the Pope is a reptilian, but I made the drawing anyway. Oh, that was from the first one. And then the Canary Cry sketch includes what does it say here? Was this from the last one? Okay, I'm confused now because it says here, I think, however, he's doing a very good job being a false prophet-like person. The Canary Cry sketch includes the face like the sun logo. And I'm trying to see where maybe is he talking about this one with the face like the sun logo? When I say this one, sorry folks, that's people just listening. I'm trying to find the logo. Do you see it?
On what? Are you looking at the book?
I don't know. I don't know which one it's on. It's just one message.
That's okay. Let's just go to the current one.
Okay, the current one is
eyes.
he's got the two dark eyes. It's another depiction of Pope Francis. Two dark eyes. One of his eyes actually has the depiction of
the Osiris.
Yeah,
not Osiris eye. The Isis eye.
Or Horus. Was it Isis?
Horus. Yeah.
I think it's Horus.
I forget which. They're all the same.
Yeah, the occult eye from Egypt.
Yes. Yeah, the Egyptian eye with the little droopy thing below it.
And the little thought bubble that says, "Do you like shadow people?" Very, very well done. It's very good.
He said. It's kind of strange. It seems like something that he would say.
He would say that. But I don't know.
The Pope is in the chat. Why for you always make fun of me? Thank you very much to the Hungry Hungarian again in the classic blue pen sketch style. Love it.
I like the style. Next, we have one from producer Mike B. I'll let you just describe what is happening.
Yeah, this is great. This is again Mike B's how can I describe it? He's getting his Photoshop skills, but it's hilariously abrupt Photoshop style here. And what we have concerning our conversation about Alex Jones, and specifically me likening him to a tiger that they've let out of the cage that is just running wild, uncontrollable, it's a tiger getting let out of a cage with just a beautifully photoshopped Alex Jones head. with a classic. Hey, everybody, right now, if you're just listening, not watching, imagine Alex Jones's face. That's it. The face he's making in your mind, that is on the tiger.
But I feel like this image of his face it's gotta be like 15 years old.
Oh yeah, this is a little bit of a younger Alex Jones.
A younger Alex Jones. But anyway, yeah, nice job. Producer Mike B. Next up, we have one from producer Grace, and it's basically the quote from Biden: "The fight is far from order." And she gives us a note. Today's piece is inspired by the weird Biden video from last show about virus and masks and being able to get together by July 4th. The fight is far from order. He meant over, and I threw in what we were all thinking, New World Order.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Thank you very much for that one. And last but not least, we have one from producer Ali. Another
this is
great.
Again,
great
referring
one.
to last episode. This is a beautiful sketch of Netanyahu
Bibi.
here. Yeah, Bibi Netanyahu. And she quotes, I believe this was a quote of mine from last episode. "Never since the dawn of the telephone has anyone been praised for calling somebody 30 times. Referring to Netanyahu calling the head of Pfizer 30 times, trying like a toxic ex-boyfriend trying to secure a vaccine deal for Israel.
Hello? How about now? Hello? How about today? Do we have a deal?
I'm not going to call you anymore. I promise. I'm not crazy. I don't want to bother you.
Hello?
Okay, hi, it's me again.
The note said, "Call me once, shame on you. Call me 30 times. This is going to put a real strain on international diplomacy." Very well done.
That's good.
And that concludes all of our art from our artists. Thank you so much for all the content that you provide the show. If you want to check out any of the pieces, go to canarycrynewstalk.com and you will find them there.
That's right. And again, thank you to are we ready to
I
go
think so.
out
Yeah,
here?
I don't think
I think so.
You know what? I will mention we got a couple notes from people. Producer Eric R sent us some fake ad copy. That was pretty good. It's a little long, and we'll maybe include it as we do some breaks in the future.
Fake ads. Okay, yeah. There's something mentioned an episode or two ago about it'd be fun to do fake ads, just to poke at the advertising model.
And then producer JL, she sent us a couple Biden TikTok clips.
Oh gosh,
it was good. But I think we've played at least one of them. And then there was one more producer I wanted to thank. I don't want to forget people here. Oh, Subtle Kane also sent us a just a note, and he sent a link to the FDA's Vaccine and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee presentation. It's like a PowerPoint type of thing.
Okay.
With a screenshot of all the things that they're planning in terms of the potential downfall of.
Is it a fake
man.
one or
no?
is
It's
it
real.
a leak?
It's straight from
or
the FDA.
something?
I don't think it's a leak. It's straight off the website, FDA.gov.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And let me see if it might be worth sharing.
Well, yeah, let's go through it for next episode.
Okay, we'll save it for next episode. And also, thank you to Fat Andy for sending us a potential flippy. I don't know that Basil, I think, felt a little uncomfortable about that one, so we did not go with it this episode, but perhaps in a future
I have
episode.
to be selective about the things that I want to talk about on air,
Especially right at the top.
We got kids who listen to the show.
Yeah, especially right at the top of the show.
Yeah, diving right into a topic like that.
Real heavy. Okay, so that's it.
All right.
Anything else?
Sounds good. No, I want to thank all of our producers for this episode 312, and of course the artists. I'll thank you again at the end of the show. And if you haven't done it yet, I do want to mention, if you're watching over on YouTube Live or wherever you are, if you have the ability, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe and all that fun stuff.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Oh, you didn't want to hit the
Fake.
Other. There is no other. Like mother.
What did you say?
I was going to do the like, subscribe.
Oh.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Yeah,
Woo!
our
There
thing
we
is
go.
janky right now.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you very much. And everybody, yes, please like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And make sure to follow us on other platforms as well. We got to get those algorithms moving, folks. Okay, what's the deal with moms?
PenLive.com. Pennsylvania woman created deepfake videos to force rivals off daughter's cheerleading squad. Police. Oh yeah, this is
What?
You thought it would be years before the crazy parent on your sports team would leverage deepfakes to get their own child ahead in the game, but not so.
Specific. Yeah.
Police arrested a 50-year-old Bucks County woman March 10th for sending her teen daughter's cheerleading coaches fake photos and videos depicting her rivals naked, drinking, or smoking to try to get them kicked off the squad, according to media reports. Rafaela Spone of Chalfont, I think that's right, Chalfont, was charged with 2 misdemeanors. Hilltown Township police officers said Spone is facing 3 counts of cyber harassment of a child and 3 counts of harassment. An investigation last year led officers to discover that Spone had sent harassing text messages directly to the teenagers as well, police said. Ooh, this woman. As the investigation continued, more teenagers came forward who were all part of a traveling cheerleading group, Victory Vipers.
Cool name.
Yeah, based in the Doylestown area. And for those watching, there's a mugshot of Rafaela Spone.
Yeah, she really did up her makeup for this mugshot.
It's a deep fake. Quote, Spone last year created the doctored images of at least 3 members, according to the affidavit. There were no indications that Spone's daughter knew what her mother was doing. The teenagers told officers Spone sent them, quote, manipulated images and in an anonymous, oh my gosh. That echo is really messing with me when I try to say words like anonymous. And in an anonymous message said that Spone, quote, urged them to kill themselves.
Oh my gosh.
That's the line. Bucks County District Attorney Matt Weintraub told the Philadelphia Inquirer. Hilltown police were contacted by one of the teenagers' parents in July, and then 2 more families came forward with a similar account. They told officers they and their coaches received text messages that depicted them naked, drinking, and smoking a vape, according to the Philly Inquirer. Some of the teenagers were, quote, sent photos of themselves in bikinis with accompanying texts saying the subjects were, quote, drinking at the shore, court records show.
Drinking at the shore. Sounds like there's some English as a second language issues here.
Could be. The videos were analyzed. The detectives were able to determine they were deep fakes, digitally altered but realistic looking images created by mapping the girls' social media photos onto other images, the Philly Inquirer
so
reported.
there were videos. Okay, yeah. I was going to make the useless argument that photoshopped images are not technically deep fakes, but yes, if there's videos, holy moly.
Officers were able to execute multiple search warrants that allowed them to trace the text messages back to Spone's IP address and then her cell phone, police said. She obviously doesn't know how to use a VPN.
Yeah, well, that's the crazy thing.
She's like, I can use a deep fake, but VPN.
Yeah, this mom knew to get deep, whether she created them or maybe paid somebody online or something to make them. But yes, did not know to use a VPN.
Is there a Fiverr, like deep fake guy? Probably make a lot of money.
That's a really good question. Let me check on that while you finish the story.
George Rattel told the Philly Inquirer, quote, he believes the harassment was triggered after he and his wife told his daughter to stop hanging out with Spones' daughter due to concern over the girl's behavior. Quote, I don't know what would push her to this point, Rattel said. Quote, as a dad, I was pretty upset about it. It's an image put out there of my daughter that is simply not true. Yeah. Spone was released on the condition that she appear at a preliminary hearing on March 30th. So there you go. I mean, we're really living in the dystopia of the future.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Bad
mix. I mean, it's so ubiquitous and so easy either to do or get done that something as apparently not inconsequential to them, but seemingly inconsequential as getting on a cheerleading squad warrants getting deep fakes made to. I mean, really, that's a very brutal thing to do as well. I mean, these were very damaging deep fakes, not just,
Yeah, I don't know if you've
Tom Cruise doing magic tricks.
I don't know if you've been around the youth athletics.
I have seen commercials for TV shows on TLC.
Okay. Yeah. Having lived through some of the, the helicopter parent type of thing.
Sure.
It's intense. Let me tell you that. I guard against it with my own children. And then I find myself saying things, to the little ones sometimes. Things that would, in a different context would make me a helicopter parent,
Uh-oh.
Like, go get him. Go rip him off. Not rip him off, but whatever. Rip them down. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So going on Fiverr here, looking for deep fake people.
Yeah.
No results come up for deep fake in any version of the term. But if you type in deep face, which I think is an app.
Oh,
right? Isn't Deep Face an app that does kind of not a great job, but is accessible?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Here we go. I will face recognition using deep learning algorithms for you. Okay. So this is a facial recognition guy.
Step one of a deep fake.
Interesting. Yeah. For $100, you can give this guy an image and he'll run it against, I don't know what database, but some facial recognition database.
Well, maybe it's like social media, like, Facebook.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe different APIs or something. Yeah. Okay. Well, not as simple as going to Fiverr for a deep fake, but I'm sure you just find a message board or something.
It's a matter of time. Comes to Fiverr. But there you go.
I wonder if she paid in Bitcoin.
Oh, no, probably not.
Hey, man, moms can use Bitcoin too.
Well, they can, but I just I don't see that happening.
All right, let's do some AI updates.
Artificial intelligence jingle. Here it is.
Artificial intelligence.
These should be brief.
What?
Should be fairly brief on these updates here from AI.
Yeah, no, this one's for the Canary Cry gamers out there. This is coming from RIT.edu. RIT researchers helping to develop artificial intelligence systems capable of playing StarCraft 2. Team of Rochester Institute of Technology researchers that develops artificial intelligence systems capable of learning over time is putting its work to a unique new test, creating machines capable of playing the popular video game StarCraft 2. While tasking artificial intelligence with playing a science fiction strategy game may seem odd at first glance, researchers think it could be an important stepping stone to advancing practical solutions such as self-driving cars, service robots, and other real-world applications. And the point being is StarCraft 2 is a sort of a military strategy game set in the future. And they just did everything they could to not mention that this would train AI in military strategy.
It really reminds me of Ender's Game. This is like as if the young Ender Wiggin is an AI.
Yeah.
But the part that you need to mention is that they earned the funding of DARPA for this.
Yes, that was the next sentence here. They received nearly $210,000 from the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, which again, of course, this is going to be used for military strategy work on artificial intelligence. And of course, we know that there's a lot of heat right now, a lot of attention on the U.S. government creating and maintaining an artificial intelligence office for the application of AI across government departments, including all branches of the military, which I don't know. There's some gamer stuff I could get into, but I don't know if it's useful for the show.
I will say, if you're the spoiler alert, sorry, but like one of the premises of Ender's Game was that they thought they were in like a simulation or a practice round or training, but in reality they were actually fighting this like alien war. In terms of that ambiguity, AI is that they would have no idea if they're just playing a game or if they're actually in some kind of real life type of situation. How would they know? So anyway,
sure.
Kind of interesting.
Well, I do want to give a shout out to Bacon Toast over in YouTube that says AI Zerg Rush. That's a tip of the hat to all the StarCraft 2 players out there.
Okay.
Or StarCraft 1 for that matter.
Very good.
Okay, there you go. Watch out, folks.
Watch out. Your StarCraft might be.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. StarCraft 2 is mainly, or I believe is best enjoyed playing online against other people. But at this point, you never know if you're going to be playing against another person or a DARPA-funded AI bot.
Yeah, not quite the simp, right? More of a real life government thing. A government
Not
simp.
Quite the simp. What are you talking about? Are you trying to use Gen Z language?
I don't always know how
I don't think
applies.
you know what simp means.
I know what simp means.
What does simp have to do with playing StarCraft?
Oh, maybe not anything to do with StarCraft. Anyway, let's move on.
Moving on.
Algemeiner.com. Israeli platform brings female intuition to artificial intelligence.
Oh, good.
On the heels of International Women's Day, Intel Israel and Supersonus are developing an artificial intelligence platform termed AI for Women. Real creative.
Oh,
which
good.
Which is based on female intuition.
This is insulting.
After collecting data and advice from thousands of successful and high-achieving women in the public and private sectors, the AI platform aims to gain insight from important tips gleaned from older professional women that can help young women at the beginning of their career paths. As part of the project, Intel has collected thousands of tips from successful Israeli women who have been influential in their sectors and distilled it into an advanced model database of artificial intelligence filled with collective cognitive wisdom. Some of the gathered data has been given by leading figures in Israeli society, such as Yamina MK Ultra. I'm sorry, it's Yamina MK. And former Ministry of Justice Ayelet Shaked. former columnist Emily, and then it just lists a bunch of famous women.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need to get too deep into this article.
We
but,
don't.
You know, this is as insulting, I think. I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't know, but I am a little bit. I pay attention to these things. Remember when Bic came out for the pen for women?
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, it's a huge. I mean, it's part of sort of the feminist talking points when it comes to advertising and the creation of products specifically for women. Like, oh, you can't just make soap. This is soap for women.
Yeah.
You can't just make a pen. This is a pen for women. You can't just make a razor blade.
Well,
you got to make it pink and make it.
How are we going to fight toxic masculinity if we can't create AI for women too?
Sure.
Male
I
dominated
get it.
world.
I get the big tech aspect of this. Of course, AI has come under a lot of fire because it expresses the biases of its creators, and its creators are normally men in their 30s, white men in their 30s, and so a lot of that bias makes it into the AI. This is the talking points of those who would have these talking points, and so yes, making an AI for women. As some sort of step forward, but also when you just take like 1 second to think about it, is it's a complicated complicated talking point. You can't make pens for women, but you can make AI for women.
It's interesting how a lot of these like wisdom platform types, collective wisdom and stuff like that really is replacing the Holy Spirit with a machine, an algorithm, or trying to anyway. These folks, wisdom, the counselor, I mean,
well, in Jewish tradition, wisdom is often referred to as a woman.
That's true. Yeah, very much so. There you go. We got one more AI update from ScienceDaily.com. Do you want it, or do you want me to take it?
Sure, I'll grab it here. The headline is Artificial Intelligence System Calculates Suicide Attempt Risk. Here's how it performed. Okay, so we got some, what's that movie? I accidentally said it last episode.
Minority Report?
Minority Report. A machine learning algorithm that predicts suicide attempt recently underwent a prospective trial at the institute where it was developed, Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Over the 11 consecutive months, including April 2020, concluding in April 2020, just before the pandemic got into full swing.
Yeah, it was pretty much in full swing already, I think, at that point.
Yeah, but with all the issues with suicide as we got further into the pandemic, that would have been an interesting time to deploy this AI. True. Predictions ran silently in the background as adult patients were seen at VUMC. The algorithm, dubbed the Vanderbilt Suicide Attempt and Ideation Likelihood Model, VSAIL, uses routine information from electronic health records to calculate 30-day risk of return visits for suicide attempt and, by extension, suicidal ideation. Suicide has been on the rise in the U.S. for a generation and is estimated to claim the lives of 14 in 100,000 Americans each year, making it the nation's 10th leading cause of death. Nationally, some 8.5% of suicide attempts end in death. Interesting. That's much lower than I would have expected. 8.5% of suicide attempts end in death. Must be harder than it sounds. Colin Walsh, MD. Colin Walsh, MD. MDMA. The colleagues evaluated the performance of the predictive algorithm with an eye to its potential clinical implementation. They reported in the study in JAMA Network Open.
JAMA?
Sorry, go ahead. Mama Jamma. Upon stratifying adult patients into 8 groups according to their risk scores per the algorithm, the top stratum alone accounted for more than 1/3 of all suicide attempts documented in the study. and approximately half of all cases of suicidal ideation, as documented in the EHR. 1 in 23 individuals in this high-risk group went on to report suicidal thoughts, and 1 in 271 went on to attempt suicide. Quote, today across the medical center, we cannot screen every patient for suicide risk in every encounter, nor should we, said Walsh, assistant professor of biomedical informatics, medicine, and psychiatry. Quote, but we know some individuals are never screened despite factors that might put them at higher risk. This risk model is a first pass at the screening and might suggest which patients to screen further in settings where suicidality is not often discussed. Over the 11-month test, some 78,000 adult patients were seen in the hospital, emergency room, and surgical clinics at VUMC. As subsequently documented in the EHR, 395 individuals in this group reported having suicidal thoughts, and 85 lived through at least one suicide attempt, with 23 surviving repeated attempts. Quote here, for every 271 people identified in the highest prediction risk group, 1 returned for treatment for a suicide attempt, Walsh said. This number is on par with the numbers needed to screen the problems like abnormal cholesterol and certain cancers. We might feasibly ask hundreds or even thousands of individuals about suicidal thinking, but we cannot ask the millions who visit our medical center every year. Wow, millions. That must be a big medical center. And not all patients need to be asked. Our results suggest artificial intelligence might help as one step in directing limited clinical resources to where they are most needed.
That's pretty much.
I think that's pretty much it. There's no other important points. So very interesting. Adding this AI model to predicting human suicide. What do you think, Gons?
I think partially, for the medical professionals and stuff, this will help assess the data. But on the other hand, I can see this being used for more of a, kind of a Minority Report, except for suicide. Like, oh, your mental state is not well. You must come to the facility. You cannot go outside. We need
You're
to treat
being
you.
rescued. Please do not resist.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, and as usual with all these sorts of projects, it's always done under the auspices of medical treatment at first. And again, you might say, well, yeah, if they have to do this screening and there's just so many, you might as well get some AI to help in this hospital or in hospitals. But of course, as we've seen over and over again with technology like this, it does not stay in the hospital. It eventually gets deployed into the public. It's just how it is. That's not, conspiratorial thinking. That is just history. These things start in a medical establishment, and then they make it out into the broader society, whether it's deployed over social media. This is easily something that Facebook would sort of get a grant from the government to deploy on their, intelligence gathering apparatus, or, in a different case like China or something like that, or, maybe even Japan, where suicide is a much higher priority or a bigger problem. Rather, could easily be acquired and deployed by the government. And then, it's just another issue of how involved the government should be in the lives of individuals.
Yeah. And I'm hoping it doesn't get to a point where it becomes like an app, like, hey app, I'm going to jump off this bridge. Really?
Oh, you wouldn't even tell it. It would take all of the data analysis from your private messages, your emails, your social media.
It would give you a warning or a threshold thing. Like you are in suicidal territory.
The altimeter within the phone would sense that you've climbed 1,000 feet up, and would send you a little notification, maybe an advertisement for a therapy app.
Might be good in relationships to end arguments.
Oh, jeez.
You're bringing me into the suicidal zone.
Look what you made me do. You just show the phone. You get a little warning.
Wow.
Hey, we laugh. It is.
I know we laugh, but
we
that's
laugh
seriously
to keep
what's
from crying
I know,
because
it's
only a matter of time.
I know. Moving on, we got a couple CRISPR updates.
CRISPR. Cas9.
And the progress
Real quick,
continues.
I sin regarding that last story. It would connect to your Spotify too. The music you're listening to. If you're listening to too much Elliott Smith.
Oh yeah,
know.
See? Yeah, I used to listen to some Elliott Smith.
We all did.
we had our days listening.
We've
to
all
Elliott
been there. We definitely would have gotten that alert.
Have you ever heard of a band called Dredg?
A what?
Dredg. DREDG.
What is it? Like an app or something?
No, it's a band. Have you ever heard of the band called Dredg?
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's some dark not dark, like dark, but yeah.
Emo.
Kind of
gets
emo.
you in the mood.
Yeah. I always liked it when it was like dark and it fit not my suicidal, that's too intense of a word. Just my depressed teenage mind, but it was still like creative enough to be like, ooh, cool. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, revisiting my emotional, painful days. Speaking of pain, painnewsnetwork.org. Did you know that there was a Pain News Network? PNN.
But there's PNN.
Step aside, CNN. We got a new news outlet in the house. Pain News Network. All right. Experimental gene therapy may relieve chronic pain. New study by researchers at the University of California, San Diego suggests that gene therapy could someday be used to treat a variety of chronic pain conditions without the use of drugs. In experiments on laboratory mice, researchers found that temporarily repressing a gene involved in sensing pain increases pain tolerance, lowers pain sensitivity, and provided months of pain relief without causing numbness. Their findings were published in the journal Science Translational Medicine. Quote, "What we have right now does not work," said first author Ana Moreno, PhD, CEO of Naviga Therapeutics, which is developing gene therapies to treat chronic pain. Quote, "There's a desperate need for a treatment that's effective, long-lasting, and not addictive." Moreno was a grad at UC San Diego. The mutation blocks.
That's a big leap to say it's non-addictive.
Well,
seems like not being in pain can be a pretty addictive.
I see what you're saying.
Sensation.
Yeah, I think she's in the context of what we have currently with
the opiate.
The opiate problem. No, we got to pay all those the poppy farms in Afghanistan. We got to.
Why do we have soldiers over there anyways, if not to pump the opiates into the people?
Moreno was a grad. Oh, hold on. There's let's see. Yep. The mutation blocks a protein called NAV 1.7 or NAV 1.7 that's involved in transmitting pain signals in the spinal cord. That's when she came up with the idea of suppressing the gene using the CRISPR gene editing tool. Moreno was working with a version of CRISPR that uses what's called dead Cas9, which lacks the ability to permanently cut DNA. Instead, it sticks to a gene and temporarily blocks its expression. I would say, in the context of changing your DNA, at least this isn't, permanently cutting it.
They're attempting to, cut that problem. Quote, I guess maybe to have the ability to undo it later, maybe.
Yeah. Quote, "By targeting this gene, we can alter the pain phenotype," Moreno explained. "It's not cutting out any genes, so there are no permanent changes to the genome. You wouldn't want to permanently lose the ability to feel pain. One of the biggest concerns with CRISPR gene editing is off-target effects. Once you cut DNA, that's it. You can't go back. With dead Cas9, we're not doing something irreversible." This reminded me, by the way, did you ever watch the anime Sword Art Online? We've talked about it many times.
I did,
before.
when I was much younger.
Remember the Nerve Gear helmet? And the ability within the virtual world to change your pain level. So you can be in the game and it's like a dial. You can
Yeah.
turn it up or turn it
You
down.
choose how much pain you want to feel in the game.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like this is
interesting.
that. I mean, it's pretty much
The
that.
more the continued gamification of real life.
And if they're gonna, if you come up with a helmet that taps into your spinal
It's like
cord,
setting your difficulty level.
it's exactly that. It's exactly
Mm.
that. There's not. I mean, that's pretty much the main crux of the story. But that's a pretty interesting
that's
development
interesting.
because
Yeah,
while
huh.
this is, they're in the context of, hey, we need to help people with chronic pain. The commercial use of something like this is much more troubling, I would say.
Yeah.
If, a bunch of kids get it. I'm gonna go get a tattoo, but
Well, see, that's the. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
I was just gonna say that's.
I saw in the chat there's a drinking game now where every time I interrupt you, they have to take a drink.
They're going to be
I don't think that's
wasted.
very safe. I don't recommend
They're
playing
going to
that
be
game.
wasted. Don't do it. Make it a.
It's like 2 p.m. You can't afford this.
Well, it's not 2 p.m. for everybody listening.
Oh, good point.
Remember that time is a flat circle.
Yeah. Okay. We want another just short little CRISPR update
This
here.
one is also very interesting. Yes, another CRISPR update.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is a genetic literacy project.com. Oh, we've read from them before.
Yeah.
Genetic Literacy Project. The headline is Using CRISPR to Fight Antibiotic Resistant Superbugs. Superbugs being a big problem. I mean, before our current pandemic, all the pandemic scaremongers specifically talking to superbugs that are resistant.
I think this story is the setup for the next level beyond COVID. But go on.
Reads like this: antibiotic resistance and the rise of superbugs could result in 10 million deaths each year by 2050, unless this mounting global health crisis can be halted. Currently, at least 23,000 Americans die, there's that 23 again, each year as a direct result of antibiotic-resistant microbes, while an unknown number die from related complication. The development of new antibiotics has become one of the most pressing goals of our time, yet it's not happening quickly enough. The superbugs are winning. Recent research from the University of Manchester School of Chemistry has introduced the possibility of a new form of antibiotic production, which could help in the war against antibiotic-resistant superbugs. Researchers discover the biosynthetic pathway of an antibiotic called malonomycin,
Malonomycin, I think.
Using CRISPR-Cas9, the revolutionary and sometimes controversial gene editing tool. Antibiotics have been used to treat certain diseases since the 1940s, when penicillin was developed from a type of fungus called Penicillium. Penicillin fights illnesses caused by gram-positive bacteria like Staphylococcus, which causes staph infections, and pneumococcus, which causes pneumonia and middle ear infections. Ever since the first clinical use of penicillin, hundreds of antibiotics have been discovered for synthetically produced, including antiparasitic and antifungal antibiotics. While antibiotics have saved countless people from death and disability, their inappropriate use has led to the widespread problem of antibiotic resistance. This means that relatively simple infections treated easily just decades ago are turning into life-threatening or disabling illnesses. Quote, antibiotic resistance is becoming a significant health issue globally, said Dr. Jack Springer, an assistant professor of emergency medicine at the Zucker School of Medicine it's the Zucker.
I don't think this is the Zuckerberg.
That's not Zuckerberg Hospital, okay, or the Zuckerberg wing of whatever. At Hofstra Northwell in New York, Springer told Genetic Literacy Project. Oh gosh, you can tell we're getting to the end of the show here. We are looking at certain bacteria that infect humans that have become resistant to most or all known currently available antibiotics. Most bacteria that commonly infect humans have developed some bacterial resistance, including the most common cause of pneumonia and urinary tract infection. Numerous other examples include malaria and tuberculosis, as well as gonorrhea. By using a combination of bioinformatics, in vitro experiments, science and CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing, researchers at the University of Manchester, in collaboration with the University of Cambridge, were able to identify the previously unknown biosynthetic pathway of the antibiotic melanomanicin. This antibiotic is produced in Streptomyces rhemosus paromycinus and is known to have antiprotozoal and antifungal activity. Whew, wow. Quote, the rapid rise of antibiotic-resistant pathogens is one of the foremost global health concerns of modern times. Now, using a combination of bioinformatics, CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing, and in vitro experiments, we have discovered a highly unusual biosynthetic pathway to the antibiotic melanomanicin. This could pave the way for a new kind of antibiotic production process, said Jason Mickfield, leader of the study and professor of chemical biology at the Manchester Institute of Biotechnology. Man, these health articles are so tedious.
Yeah, you don't have to read any more of it. I think we get the point here.
Titles of doctors with full names of research agencies. Okay, so there you go. There's this gene editing thing, which is at least peripherally related to things like mRNA vaccines, but not exactly. This is specifically gene editing with CRISPR-Cas9, is making its way into full use in many different medical practices.
I wouldn't say it has nothing to do. I mean, maybe you know more than I do in terms of the specifics, but my thought process when it comes to some of what they're claiming here and how to perhaps deliver, they don't mention mRNA, the vaccine here, but in terms of delivering some of the editing tools, it could be, I think mRNA can be used, can it?
No, they're totally different processes, but they're both dealing with genetic changes in a way.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, just keep an eye out.
CRISPR-Cas9 being the more synthetic of the two.
Right.
I mean, the CRISPR-Cas9 is really interesting. If you haven't done it yet, there, listener, you look at the videos of CRISPR-Cas9 at work, and it's like this little worm that crawls along a strand of DNA. And it's like this weird little machine that actually does it. It's not a machine. It's some sort of protein or something. But just to watch the way these things work is really bizarre. I mean,
it's as if we are design machines.
It's one of the weirdest things. I mean, it's one thing to be like, oh, they edit your DNA, but you watch it happen and it's like this little worm guy that is crawling around on the DNA and like choosing things to cut out and change. It's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so yeah, there you go. I don't think I needed to read as much as that as I did, but in the context of the pandemic and this new trauma-based mind control of disease will kill us all, this Cas9 thing, which is weird. They're using CRISPR-Cas9, which is sort of an archaic version. There's newer versions of these gene editing technologies.
Yeah. Yep.
And since the beginning of us reporting on CRISPR, it's always been put in the context of we will solve all disease. With editing your genes. Medicine will be irrelevant because we can just program your genes to fight a disease.
Yeah. For sure. I want you to read this next one because
oh gosh, of course you do.
I just want to hear you read it. So.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was looking ahead and I'm like, okay, I'm going to let Gons read that one. Okay, so this is Tribune242.com. The headline, White Privilege and Slavery. Quote, white privilege is a main tenet of institutionalized racism and has only been success. You got a jingle for this?
I don't have the race jingle in front of me, but maybe
are you even woke?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. White privilege is a main tenet of institutionalized racism and has only been successful because of the desecration of accountability. Interesting. This is but a minuscule reference of an obscene period in history. 2,000 years ago, the competent authority capitulated to the mob and crucified an innocent man, the Jesus the Christ. No one was held accountable. Whoa, where is this going? Interesting. The Middle Passage of the black slave trade that endured over 400 years. White hogs transported over 12 million blacks from America.
From Africa.
I was trying to, in those first couple sentences, I'm trying to figure out what context, who is the speaker in this thing. And I was like, oh gosh, is Guns making me read some sort of thing that I'm going to get in trouble for? No. White hogs transported over 12 million blacks from Africa. Okay, here we go. The conditions in the belly of the slave ships were so horrific and inhumane that more than 2 million slaves died during the journey. No one was held accountable. Slavery was technically abolished in 1865. The white hog slave masters, oh my gosh, were compensated for losing free black labor. The black slaves who built America with their bare hands, and many perished so doing, got nothing. No one was held accountable! ! In 1917, white hogs conducted a mass hanging of black soldiers for defending themselves from white rioters. No one was held accountable! In 1921, a prosperous black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma was called Black Wall Street. Jealous white hogs initiated a race riot, leaving 300 dead and 8,000 wounded and homeless. No one was held accountable. In August 16th, 1937, Annie Hawkins, a former slave, was interviewed. She said, quote, "I never had no white folks that was good to me. We all worked just like dogs and had about half enough to eat and got whipped for everything. No one was held accountable." In 1944, George Stinney was a 14-year-old skinny little black boy. He was framed for the murder of 2 white girls. He was tossed in jail in solitary confinement. His parents were prevented from seeing him. The poor child had no idea why they were terrorizing him, and he was so small they had to sit him on a phone book to fit him in the electric chair. Those depraved white hogs electrocuted this innocent child whose only crime was being black. No one was held accountable.
If you want to skip a couple of the paragraphs, you can.
Yeah, there are many of them. Let's keep going. Okay. I don't want to be accused of skipping over important history. Another 14-year-old boy whose only crime was being black was Emmett Till. He was accused of offending a white woman in Mississippi in 1955. He was lynched in a most grotesque fashion by white hogs. His murderers were found not guilty by a jury of their white hog peers. After the acquittal, they gleefully admitted to the sickening crime. They were heroes among fellow white hogs. No one was held accountable. In 1932, white hogs with medical degrees subjected unsuspecting black men to a syphilis study for the benefit of white science. No one was held accountable. Wow, there's a lot of them. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was an American civil rights leader, an icon in the black community, a pastor, a consummate orator, a prince of a man, and a martyr. He was despised by the white establishment. The problem? He was black and influential. He was under continuous illegal surveillance by white law enforcement at the highest level. Weird how, you call cops pigs, and in the one time where he's specifically referring to the cops, he doesn't say white hogs. J. Edgar Hoover, that racist white hog and the director of FBI, hated Martin intensely. Hoover framed him and harassed him with impunity. I'm convinced that the FBI and DOJ conspired to have King assassinated on April 4th, 1968 in Atlanta. No one was held accountable. Not only were former slaves denied reparations, but white hogs designed a system called redlining, a discriminatory practice of putting services and finance out of the reach of black people. Generations of black families have been cheated out of billions in wealth by this practice. No one has been held accountable. There is compelling anecdotal, I think.
I think he meant anecdotal.
That's what they meant.
Yeah.
Anecdotal evidence that many white hogs benefited handsomely from inventions that black individuals created, but never got credit for. No one was held accountable. The trend is inescapable. In all of the aforementioned atrocities, the assailants' perpetrators are known to the competent authorities. In fact, the competent authorities were masterminds behind some of the murders. So, from the advent of slavery to now, the white establishment have crafted and mastered a system, a labyrinth of laws, policies, and skullduggery that continues to benefit them at the exclusion of people of color. The brazen attack, interesting. All of the examples they gave were American examples of racism, but they spell color in the UK fashion.
Yeah.
COLOUR. Just paying attention here. The brazen attack on Capitol Hill, here we go, on January 6, 2021, has crystallized a festering sore to a pus head. Ooh. True to form, the white establishment elected officials to the highest positions in America, up to and including former President Trump, have aided, abetted, and defended them. That venomous DNA from 400 years ago is alive and well. A generational legacy of greed, loathsome dominance, and predatory malfeasance is their birthright. Their skins are white, but their hearts are dark. I make no apology for calling them hogs. No normal human being could be so depraved and consumed with hate. They are the embodiment of evil. Demons do exist, and these hogs are demons. Satan equips and facilitates his minions very well. He imbues every fiber in their body with virulent hate and savagery. The NRA is a demonic organization. Small wonder they are so inextricably linked to the Republican Party. They are under the mark of the beast. Every year more Americans are being slaughtered by guns, but the GOP keep fighting to make gun ownership easier. A big gun is the white man absolute symbol of manhood. With a gun, a white overseer could manage dozens of slaves in the field. Guns give them a false sense of superiority. How many of them have the courage to confront a black brother without weapons? Guns are essential for the preservation of white supremacy and the police to shoot and kill black people. A more insidious plan for guns is to flood black ghettos with high-grade weapons and sit back and watch as blacks slaughter blacks. It's a spectator sport for them to enjoy, safely tucked away in their white enclaves, protected by white policemen. So long as the bloody carnage is contained to the ghetto, they marvel at how clever they are. What makes this lack of accountability so egregious is the fact that for hundreds of years, the white hogs keep immaculate records. Slavery and slave labor was such a valuable commodity that they were insured. So the records are still available for all to see, but there will never be judicious accountability. The Holocaust happened 80 years ago. The Jews are still prosecuting the Nazis and holding them accountable. Well, I guess if the Jews were black, they would be in the same boat as the slaves and their lineage. I by no means consider all white people as bad. In fact, I believe the majority of white people are good and decent. However, too many remain bigoted, racist hogs. America cannot move forward until systematic racism is reduced from politics in Capitol Hill to the police on the beat. Written by Bradley L. Armbrister, Freeport, Bahamas. Okay. Why did you do this to me?
I just wanted to hear you say white hogs.
Well, I mean, I think it's fun. This person obviously wrote this in the heat. In the heat of a very passionate, thought process. I mean, the entire thing basically says, yes, all white people are white hogs until the very
end of the sentence. Yeah.
They're not all white hogs, but some of them are, and that's bad.
I think an article like this is very much a product and evidence that much of the racial propaganda, I would say, that's because, all the things he cites, or most of them anyway, are part of history, but you can take any piece of history and build an argument that is frail, like on race.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if a black man has never killed a white hog in the entirety of human history.
Well, there's a couple interesting things I found about it. Again, sorry to cut you off.
I was going to say, there's people drinking just now. They take the shots.
Let you finish your thoughts. I just get so excited.
Get some really loose people at the end of this show. Go ahead.
Yeah. So a couple things to notice. Very interesting how it goes into the longest single paragraph in the whole. I don't even know if this is an article. It's more of like an open.
It's an editor's
open letter.
Yeah, letter to the editors. I think.
Okay. The biggest. The article, as far as paragraph, as far as word length, is the one about gun control.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there shows you what the point of the whole thing was. This was, a racialized argument specifically in favor of gun control. Because there's no other solutions except for a couple of sentences about getting racist politicians out of there. They named all the problems, a bunch of horrific things that happened. And then the only solution given was gun control. And, there's about 15 sentences about gun control and about one sentence about racist politicians. So that shows you right there. The goal of this whole thing was in favor of gun control. Based solely on the fact that guns, I guess the argument is that guns are a white person's invention and the white hog's tool of oppression. And so I don't know. There you go. It's just a bunch of very, very passionate critical race theory talk about gun control, I think.
Yeah. I do want to highlight the fact that it was interesting to weave religion, or specifically Christianity, with the eschatological bent that we're familiar with, into the whole thing. And he mentions Jesus at the beginning, and he says no one was held accountable. He starts the whole thing off with Jesus on the cross. No one held accountable. And I'm thinking, I don't know. There's like a cosmic accountability thing that
theologically we're all held accountable.
Right.
Yeah.
So
which again, just in this, again, he doesn't state it, but in a breakdown of it, I would say that the prevailing idea when it comes to race relations in America is that we all, specifically white people, are to be held accountable, much like all sinners are to be held accountable for the crucifixion of Christ. All white people are to be held accountable for slavery. Is sort of the implication.
Yeah, which is, again, it's very dangerous in that regard, because he was without sin to cast the first stone type of deal where it's like, oh, so really there's no, like, this author here is just so holier than thou that you can't.
Yeah, let me just state for those who are just listening and maybe new to the show, Gons is our resident person of color.
Oh yes, yeah, I'm
so
protected by
to say things like this.
The Biden executive order to not harass Asians.
Yes. So if you say if you disagree with Gons, you're Asianophobic.
Yeah. I mean, you heard him say it: masks and Asians. Last speech, but also just the connection to demons exist, and these hogs are demons, and the NRA is demonic, and they're all under the mark of the beast. I mean,
very interesting target put on the NRA specifically.
Well, NRA, but just why invoke the mark of the beast as kind of the? I mean, I know he probably, I don't know, a poetic use of it, but it leads me to believe
people don't even read their Bible, for
for heaven's sakes.
This guy might need to read a little more
interesting.
Bible.
Makes me wonder if this person is in some sort of like church leadership in the Bahamas.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Freeport,
Anyway,
Bahamas.
I apologize for subjecting you to that
No,
torture.
that's fine.
but,
I deserve it for being a white hog.
I was going to say, this is your punishment. He kept saying no one was held accountable. Well, here's one that you can put in the books.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, what do you got to take it? I'm going to do a quick search on this guy, but what do you got to take us out?
Oh, you're doing a back research going after him. All right, one
I'm
more
just
story
curious
here.
who this guy is.
One more quick story here. This is a sort of a Beast System update. Where's my Beast System jingle? Oh no, so many things are wrong today with all of our technology.
Speaking of Beast System, Beast System.
There we go.
A search for this guy is not coming up with much information, but it looks like it can get a great deal on flights and hotel rates in the Bahamas right now.
Maybe he's an AI, resident AI racist from the Bahamas.
You know what? Thinking about it, it does have that whole article had a little tinge of just a little AI authorship.
A little bit of nonsensical meshing of ideas.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is the collegefix.com headline. Students would chant to Aztec god of human sacrifice under proposed California ethnic studies curriculum.
Whoa, okay. Tell me more.
I like that. You were like, you don't even know what to say to that.
No, that is intense. Tell me.
Students would chant to an Aztec god that accepts human sacrifice under a proposed California ethnic studies curriculum. Quote, the curriculum includes an official ethnic studies community chant in which students appeal to the Aztec gods, including the god of human sacrifice, for the powers to become, quote, warriors for, quote, social justice. Students seek, quote, a revolutionary spirit through these incantations, reports journalist Christopher Rufo, who tweeted out images of the curriculum.
Terry B in the YouTube says, sounds like a real hands-on class.
At stake, quote, adoption would clear the way for the state legislature to vote on a bill making ethnic studies a high school graduation requirement for all 1.74 million high schoolers in the state, reports Real Clear Investigations. There are also videos of another proposed chant that shows high school students in Los Angeles cheering in various Spanish, Swahili, and Native American phrases in advance of discussions on topics such as oppression, power, solidarity, and systemic racism, Real Clear reports. There's a picture here of some... I just feel bad. It's like the brainwashing of our youth.
Is it chanting kids?
Yeah, chanting kids. The video that's linked.
That is spooky. They have like a hand up. One hand up is strange. It's bizarrely reminiscent of like Hitler Youth.
Yeah.
Whoa.
The video is linked within the proposed curriculum before the California Department of Education. In it, the students clap and stomp their feet as they chant about tackling various struggles together, according to a translation by Real Clear. And they have below is a translation of the chant at the Social Justice Humanitas Academy in Los Angeles, referred to in this article about unity chants proposed in an ethnic studies model curriculum that the California State Board of Education is set to adopt this month. And it's got it in the original language there. And then the translation.
Keep in mind those who cannot see the visuals. It's pretty much all white kids.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is.
Definitely majority.
Translation. Yes, it can be done. All come together. Unity. Yes, it can be made to happen. One struggle down, many more to go. Holla back. An expression of support in African American vernacular English, similar to "We stand behind you."
Okay.
Is that what it meant?
I'm not quite
Hello,
sure
young African American.
But okay. All right, holla back.
I will holla back at you.
Jeez. This is interesting connection to, for instance, like Black Lives Matter leaders who admit to, calling on their ancestors to give them spiritual power.
Yeah.
And things like that in the fight.
Yeah. So here's a couple quotes here. As for the proposed chant that includes Aztec gods, Fox News reports the chant starts with a declaration that, quote, "You are my other me," and, quote, "If I do harm to you, I do harm to myself." Super new agey.
Deep, bro.
Before chanting the name of the Aztec god Tezcatlipoca, the text reads, quote, "Seeking the roots of the truth, elders and us youth, critical thinking through." I don't think there's a lot of critical thinking going on, but okay. In Aztec mythology, Tezcatlipoca is the brother of Quetzalcoatl, Huitzilopochtli, and Zipetotec, all of whom appear to be invoked in the proposed chant. A portion reads, quote, "Pulsating creation, Huitzilopochtli cause like sunlight, the light inside of us. It in will to actions what brings. Zipetotec, times 2. Transformation, liberation, education, emancipation, imagination, revitalization, liberation, transformation, decolonization, liberation.
Man, do they gotta memorize this? This is there's
a lot of stuff to memorize. You got to be, if you want to be part of the crew. It's interesting too, because of course, we know about Quetzalcoatl, the serpent, the flying serpent god.
Yeah,
was supposed to come back.
2012.
Yeah. Well, maybe he is back, and maybe he needs all these, the energies of these young students.
There were not enough invocations in 2012.
Right. But also this mention of the light inside of us, and that's specifically part of the Luciferian doctrine that says, he was the light bringer, and he was the one that freed humanity from the prison of the Garden of Eden. That concept is sort of embedded in this type of theology here. Rufo, writing for City Journal, expanded on what the proposed curriculum aims to accomplish. Quote, it's a block quote, "In theoretical terms, the new ethnic studies curriculum is based on the pedagogy of the oppressed, developed by Marxist theoretician Paulo Freire." Yeah, good stuff.
Marxist theoretician. Okay, good.
Who argued that students must be educated about their oppression in order to attain critical consciousness. Is that the same as Christ consciousness? And consequently develop the capacity to overthrow their oppressors. Following this dialectic, the model curriculum instructs teachers to help students, quote, "challenge racist, bigoted, discriminatory, imperialist, colonial beliefs, and critique white supremacy, racism, and other forms of power and oppression." This approach in turn enables teachers to inspire their pupils to participate in, quote, "social movements that struggle for social justice," and, quote, "build new possibilities for a post-racist, post-systemic racism society." The California Department of Education states on its website that officials will present this final draft and a summary of public comments to the State Board of Education in its March 17 meeting. And California is on fire and burning to a crisp as they propose this to regulators. There you go.
Are there fires?
Demonic power!
No, there's not. I'm adding my own commentary that this will cause more fires. And yeah.
That's very interesting. I think that speaks for itself there. I don't know if there's any much more to say.
And melt those babies into candles.
I would argue these educators are melting the children's brains into candles.
Yeah, it does seem that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Candles that can't be blown out by flippy arms with speakers at the end of it. It's a dark flame, folks.
Not even the robots can put out this fire.
It's time to go. I'm
okay.
starting to fall apart.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Let's see, just real quick, we'll be circling back around on Wednesday, March 17th. So put it on your calendar. Make sure you turn on notifications. And while you're at it, since we're at the end of the show here, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button, subscribe, and bell button all.
Like, subscribe, bell button all. Like, subscribe, bell button all.
That's right. And I want to thank all of our producers of this episode of 312. That's producers Carla, Stephen Spears Desert, Ishmael, Yvonne, Malik, Kyle, Kimberly, Shield Labs, and of course, big old thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps and to all of our artists and jingle makers. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to thank a producer today, folks, because if it weren't for them, there would be no show. And if you want to join the elite squad of listeners who have decided that they want to take a stand against the brainwashing of the advertising industry and show those who think advertising is the only way to keep quality media going. Not only will it show the powers that be, but there's also some intrinsic benefits in investing yourself in quality media that you appreciate and trust and give your attention to. And so go ahead and pray about that. And if you want to do it, head on over to patreon.com/CCNT. You can also head on over to canarycryradio@canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
Over 300 shows, and I still get into brain mode where I say the email instead of the support link. canarycryradio.com/support. Please and thank you. We will need some producers for Wednesday's show, and I think we're going to need to spend some money to fix our technical problems.
We'll see.
So, what?
We'll see. I mean, all it would take is a patch from some of these companies, but.
Well, yeah, I doubt that Microsoft is going to come to your rescue, or Microsoft. Mac or Apple for that case.
Or Motu. Motu would be the one to do it, but yeah.
There is, yes. But if in the absence of one of these companies helping Gons out, we're going to need to get some new hardware. So I just say that to say that if you were looking for a good time and a good reason to become a producer of the show, this would be it. So there you go. But no worries. You can use your time, your talent, or your treasure. So if financially supporting the show is not in the cards for you, you can still create jingles, create music, create art, all sorts of fun stuff. Make it show related for the show, and send it over to canarycryradio@gmail.com. Or if privacy is your thing, you can do canarycryradio@protonmail.com. Thank you very much for those who are planning on doing that. Now, here's another thing. I'll be reading reviews on Friday. Love the reviews. Gons and I read them all, and we love featuring them on the show. So if you have not done it yet, it's very important. It's hard to explain, but the more reviews and ratings that we get, the more the iTunes algorithms show the show to people who have never heard or seen it before. So please head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and a review, and you might just hear it on Friday. I was
going to say, don't listen to the Pope in the chat, folks.
What is he saying?
He says, become a producer for the Pope. Don't send these two money. Send it to me.
No, don't produce the Vatican. Let them deal with their own cash flow problems. Instead, help us with our cash flow problems. And there you go. But like I said, if financially producing is not in the cards for you, there's plenty of ways to help out the show, including sharing it out. Share it to your social media. But more importantly, you got friends and family who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems, and they might need a fun and flirty podcast to help them.
What?
Down that road.
False advertising. We don't flirt with anybody.
We can be fun and flirty sometimes.
Like maybe you.
Hey, you like conspiracy theories?
Oh, gosh.
Just go ahead and send them a show. Maybe it's this episode, maybe it's a different episode, whatever it is. I'm sure they would appreciate it. We call it rattling cages. And if you want any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them. You grab them by the cage. And then what? You shake it, baby.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah, folks. Gons, any last words?
Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Matthew 5:43.
There you
Keep that
go.
in mind
All
as
right,
we
folks.
report on people that are doing some pretty wild things.
Make sure to tune in again on March 17th. That's this Wednesday. Circle back with us.
You know
on
what
Wednesday.
Wednesday is?
What?
It's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, better have some green on, or we're gonna, I don't know, Flippy might pinch you.
Ooh, Flippy will get you. Flippy's a little pinching machine. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. It will kill.
Liar!
They are scum.
Stop this progress before it is too late!
It's gotta be biblical.
Sinful generation!
We should invite fewer people to be born.
He's a Satanist.
I'll keep you warm and safe and my people too.
It's true.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy